With me, Rowan, Odie is behind the camera. Lauren and Darby might come out. Marcel and Tyrone has been working on Wendy the entire day, so fingers crossed for that. But while we're out, if you guys want to get hold of us, send us any questions, please don't hesitate. Hashtag WildEarth on Twitter. Otherwise, if you are under the age of 18 and you want to chat to us a little bit, please send your questions to kids@wildearth.tv, or if you haven't done so yet, just click subscribe on our website. So our little plan for the afternoon is to go left on the next road called Impala Road, where we'll check Impala Clearing. And then from there, do a bit of a loop around Treehouse Dam to Twin Dam, check the Mawati, and probably head off towards Chitwa and just see what's been happening on the reserve. It is actually just so nice to be out. A bit tough for me to tell Odie it's behind a tree for me. That's the benefit of Owen sitting higher. But yeah, the weather looks okay for now. I hope the rain holds off. It looks to be raining further west of us, actually on the Drakensberg Mountains. But it doesn't look like there's going to be any lightning, any thunder. Actually here, just have a look at our weather while we start bumbling on. Well, it's a hot day here for sure, and not just the weather. We found an incredibly rare bird. The bird that you're seeing in your screens. I know it's not an easy view, but it'll come out eventually. That is a dwarf bittern, and I tell you what, that is a spectacular bird to see. Hi everyone, my name is Mike Anderson. I'm the camera's BK, and this is Eco Training's Pridelands Conservancy, where we've come back to Nyati Pan, the area just in the southwest corner of the reserve, right on the boundary. There's a small, unassuming waterhole which is attracting some crazy cool bird activity. So we thought we'd spend this part of the day now just seeing what's going on, and we did not realize it would find a dwarf bittern. That has blown my mind. It's just ducked down into the grass now. It'll come out eventually and you'll get a good look at it, and maybe you guys will help me. I didn't get a great view of it. I just saw the red eye, a bit of a yellow bill, and dark blue back and body, and then this creamy front with lots of streaks on the front. And that to me is distinctive of the dwarf bittern. It's very small as well. But what a sighting, what an animal, what a bird to see. It is warm here though, and the clouds are also a little bit dramatic, but it doesn't look like it's going to rain. Not yet anyway. Oh, hey Linda. Thanks for welcoming us. It's good to be out here. We've had a wonderful few days together, hey BK? It's been really cool. We haven't worked together for a while, and so it's been so nice to see him again. And Prideland's been producing. We found a lioness, we got bumped into by some elephants this morning. We've had some great bug and plant and insect sightings. It's been absolutely amazing. Hopefully we can continue that trend. The tree that we're sitting under is a knobthorn tree, and it's actually pumping full of birds right now. I can hear weaver birds going absolutely mental. Aha, Arctic Circle. I'm glad that WildEarth is the best part of your day. Hopefully BK and I's portions are high up there in the WildEarth itinerary. Arctic Circle. It's a cool name. I'm assuming that you live in the Arctic Circle, or perhaps it's your... Oh, I found a hornbill nest. Hold on a second. Let me just have a little look there. I'll have to point it out to you just now, BK, on the next segment, I think. But I just was looking back towards BK, I saw movement, and a hornbill just landed on a tree behind us, right at a hole in the tree, and was delving in there. I suspect that there's a nest in there. But we'll have a good look, and we'll let you know. Guys, so we are just bumbling, and majority of your birds are actually on the road now. I think they're actually just trying to stay dry. So here we've got a Swainson spurfowl just going about his business. Super red face. Shaman, as we rolled up, he was actually shaking his feathers, trying to get rid of the moisture on them from walking in the grass. A bit indecisive about which track he wants to be in. Coming rather close. Once had the privilege of actually seeing a caracal trying to hunt one of these, and I was just absolutely astounded by how high this caracal could jump. Of course, they've got very powerful hind legs, and it nearly caught it. I think it must have been about 2 meters or so off the ground. Ooh, I think it just got some water from the grass there. But this is honestly one of the loudest birds out here in the bush. Let's trying to see if there's another one here, because there are usually in pairs, or actually quite a few of them around. Looks like it's eating the grass seeds. You can actually see on the head of the Swainson spurfowl, the feathers are a little bit wet. So I'm not really too sure whether it's eating the grass seeds, whether it's actually plucking a little bit of moisture or water from it. But the red definitely sticks out in the bush. I've also seen leopard cubs trying to catch some of these. I've seen lion cubs stalking them. Adult lions wouldn't waste their time. But then, the caracal stood out more than anything. This caracal that tried to hunt one of these, that jump, that leap, and then the paw in the air trying to catch it was just absolutely amazing. Of course, I wasn't ready for it. I was watching through binoculars, and I was bummed I didn't have my camera out, but it's one of those things that happen. So for Swainson spurfowl, it's quite interesting. Most of their diet is actually just seeds, berries, roots, tubers, things like that. But then during summertime, they'll supplement by eating insects. I can't really say I've seen it eat an insect just yet. Not this one. But it's definitely picking at quite a few things. Ray, birds call mostly to communicate to each other. It's like really anything calling. They communicate with each other, they look for mates, and then of course a few of them are territorial. So often they'll say, well, this is my territory, I survived the day, or I'm still alive, I'm still here, don't you dare
come into my territory. Okay, so he's gone way far behind us now. We're gonna leave him there, let him do his thing, let him look for food, and yeah, start making our way towards Treehouse Dam. See what other little interesting things we can find on the way. I'm still just absolutely astounded by that flower mantis. I have no idea how Lauren spotted it. Really, just absolutely amazing. So it sounds like Mike has already made his way to a watering hole. So while we continue to ours, we'll send you over to Mikey.
Well, we are still at this little waterhole, and you guys just missed, well, I mean, it's not that you missed it, it just happened so quickly. That little dwarf bittern came out for a moment, and then did this thing that they do when they're trying to hunt or to stay hidden, where they stretch their body up like this, and they stretch their neck up as hard as they can. It's thin, and they just look straight up, and they just look like a reed because of the long stripes they have on their breast. And then there was a dragonfly flying around, and I saw its eyes, its head swiveling every now and again. And then the dragonfly just hovered a bit too close for just a moment too long, and the dwarf bittern stood and just caught him right there, like, and just swallowed it down, which was really awesome to see. So I'm hoping that happens again for us somewhere out in the open. Oh, there's a cutthroat finch. There's a cutthroat finch. You see where that laughing dove is in the middle? Just in front of that long patch of grass, there's like a small bird drinking at the water's edge. Is it very small? Oh, we're not going to be able to see it. It's a bit too small. It's a cutthroat finch. It's got an amazingly descriptive name because it's actually got a red stripe along its neck. Such an amazing waterhole. I wish, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to build a hide here. I'm going to build a hide for us, BK, so we can get right up to the water's edge and just see all the action. So many tiny little birds that are displaying for us, but they're just difficult to catch because they're so small at this distance. But patience is the key when you're birding. Doesn't take long, in reality, for something to show itself. And there's a ton of barn swallows flying around, as well as wire-tailed swallows, just dipping in themselves into the water and having short little drinks. Lots of birds bathing on the far side of the water as well, just in the shade of those two thorny trees. Debbie, 100% they do. Crocodiles love catching whatever they can, and they can catch birds. I think Rowan was telling a story yesterday about a vulture that he saw being caught, and I've also seen a vulture being eaten by a crocodile. I didn't see the catch, but I saw the vulture being eaten. And small crocodiles, baby crocodiles basically, will catch small birds that come to bathe at the water's edge. That's why the birds are all hiding amongst the foliage and vegetation and grass on the far side of the dam there. They're trying to remain away from potential predators. It's doubtful that there's any crocodiles in this small pond, but you just never know. Just using my binoculars to scan that clump of grass to see that dwarf bittern again, but seems to be well hidden at the moment. It'll come out eventually. Anyone at home keen birders? Anyone at home like birding in their free time, or is it mostly something you do through the WildEarth show? I tell you, it's one of the most wonderful hobbies. And as someone else who grew into birding, I remember Rowan wasn't the hugest birder when I was working with him, but he's grown into it. And, he's going to a waterhole right now, so maybe there's some cool, interesting birds that he's about to find.
Yeah, Mikey, it's gonna take a long while. I actually just like cruising along in Rusty in second gear, foot off the accelerator, and it's also taking it slow. I mean, looking down at tracks, and you have to look very carefully. I mean, wow, if you think of where that leopard was lying last night and how absolutely impossible it was to see her, you can't rush around here. You know, you actually have to just slow it down and look around very carefully. So I'll get to the watering hole maybe about 10-15 minutes. Again, we've got plenty of time. There's just no rush at all. This is nice because there's no vehicle tracks on the road, so it hasn't really been driven since this morning's rain. So it's just a clear track. Bit of rain there, bit of water from the branches hitting the roof. I don't think it's going to rain again, but we'd rather put the roof on to be safe, just to keep the equipment dry. Otherwise we'll have to rush back to camp, then put the roof on, and then come back out. So we're just playing it safe so we can spend more time out here. Sometimes as a guide, what I used to do, depending on the guest though, if we got along very well, you'd drive underneath a tree, and then I would wait till it's over the first bunch of guests and then just pull a branch, and so all of us just got soaked. Of course I wouldn't do that on a cold day, I'd just be rude. Just to wake everyone up, you know, get you amped for the safari. Make sure everyone's watching and looking around and helping us find things. What? So this is the clearing we actually wanted to come look at. Just have a quick squiz around. Leopard Queen, I think you said you hope we have a cat-a-day today. Okay, I see what you did there. Yes, absolutely. We need to. It's been, well, I just had the director explain to me what cat-a-day meant. I got it, thank you. Yeah, me too. I really hope. Any cat. Actually now, you know, I've seen 3 leopards. Now I want to see a lion. A lion from Sabi Sands. So last night we could hear them roaring, but still inside of Buffelshoek. So it seems that the S8 male and 2 lionesses have been spending a lot of time around there, just north of where Djuma is located. Not too far, I'd say probably about 3 or 4 kilometers, judging by the sound of the roar that you can hear. Of course that travels up to 7 kilometers for a human ear, so then just judging by that I would say maybe 3 or 4 kilometers. It'd be lovely to see them. Although I need to see Tlalamba before I leave, but I think I put too much pressure on myself the first couple of days, just checking there. But of course that's the only area I kind of knew because I went there with Rexon the night before, so it just felt right, you know, let's go to that area and see. Luckily now I kind of know where I am on Djuma, which roads I'm on, and so everything's just getting progressively easier.
Beautiful birding at the water's edge here. Oh, there's a small bird coming in now. It's difficult for the camera to spot, but just saw it landing in the bushes on the opposite side there of the water hole. Where is it? Yes. Oh, it's one of those birds, BK. One of those little yellow monstrosities. Sorry? Nah, you'll never see it from this distance, unfortunately. It's too far. But this is definitely... It's pale-bellied, yellow-topped with a pale eyebrow. I think that's a willow warbler for sure. Just landed in that clump of that fallen thorn bush on the other side there.
And we are back. The good news is that it seems like Wendy is working, so I think Lauren and Darby will be out fairly soon, I hope. But I can tell you what, it is so much better to actually just be out here rather than watching the dam cam. It's just the freshness of everything, you know, the ability to actually move around, check different areas. It gives us a lot more freedom. Becky C, be a good day to see Darkmane. So I've been hearing about Darkmane a lot, and yeah, so the last update we had is that he is still around Pungwe camp, and he's been hanging around there for about a week, nearly a week and a half now. It won't be a bad day for any lion, really. Well, anything. I mean, even some wild dogs would be an absolute treat. Have you ever seen a caracal here, Odie?
I haven't.
You haven't? Okay. Odie says he hasn't seen a... He didn't see a caracal here, but he saw a cheetah here once. So yeah, actually any cat. We can do African wildcat, caracal, cheetah, leopard, lion, whatever would work. The last African wildcat I saw was actually killed by a leopard, a young female leopard. I can like the males, they're also quite playful and they fool around. And the thing is, with an ambush predator, especially a young ambush predator, they just want to test their skills the whole time. So I think she stalked the African wildcat and just pounced on it, killed it, took it up a tree, left it there and never touched it again. And we kept checking for about 2 weeks and she never went back to that carcass. So she never wanted to eat it. She just killed it and left it as a Christmas decoration. I had a guest that I actually took past there. We spotted the leopard still hoisting the African wildcat carcass, and she didn't want to believe that a cat would kill another cat. So in her mind, her theory was that she found her dead and she just wanted to give her a good burial, so she took her up a tree and left her there because the tree had a beautiful view of the dam. So yeah, every time we went past, I kept telling her, no, look, she's still enjoying the view. Yeah. This is quite a significantly large termite mound. So after checking the dams, I actually want to quickly drive the Mawati because the Langa female wasn't too far from there yesterday evening. So just have a quick look around there, see if she is around, if she's crossed into Juma actually, and then from there head over to Chitwa, see what's happening on that side. And yeah, I can't say it happens often. Usually they eat what they kill, but yeah, it was so bizarre. It happens every now and then where lions kill hyenas and they don't eat them, but just as often they kill them and they eat them. I mean, I remember this was about 8.5 years ago. There was a big male leopard called Fountain's Tom, and we were actually just sitting watching two cheetah brothers relaxing underneath a tree, and then the next vehicle that came in called in, oh well, he found Fountain's Tom and he's actually walking on his way there. And this leopard started stalking the cheetah from about 100 meters away. Stalking, and the cheetah had absolutely no idea, and eventually he got so close that he pounced over one brother, killed the other brother, hoisted the cheetah up a tree, and he did eat it. But like, things like that, you know, it's shocking to see, really. It's natural, but it is a shock to the system to see one predator kill another predator. And sometimes they don't even kill them, they'll just break the spine. We've had it quite a few times with lions, where they just break the spine of a hyena, and it's almost like they just toy with it. These are often, again, younger lions. As Fountain's Tom, he did not waste any time killing the cheetah. Went straight for the back of the neck. Also quite a bizarre sight to see a cheetah hanging in a tree. Okay, so we, on that very positive note, we'll send you over to Mikey, who's still walking around.
Did you just call me Monkey? Did Rowan just call me Monkey? Or did he call me Mikey? Gosh, Rowan is pushing his luck, I tell you what. I'll tell some stories. Tell some stories about him. Okay, BK is using his eagle eyes, and he spotted something, but I can't see what he spotted at all. He says it's a dragonfly, but goodness me, that is. Have you got it in the screen? I'm gonna have to squeeze up next to you there, BK. Yeah. Oh my word! How did you spot that? That is incredibly beautiful. It's like a weird, very thin blue dragonfly with like red eyes and leg. Well, no, that's the focus, right? It's just blue.
Yeah, it's blue.
Jeez, what, I'm trying to see where you're looking on the actual grass. Right on the grass tip. No, Beaks, you've stumped me there. I can't see it. I don't know what it is. You put me on the spot. All the people are watching, BK.
Oh,
the people are watching. You're making me look bad in front of my friends. It's a dragonfly, and it's a beautiful one. I mean, it might not actually be a dragonfly. It could be like a damselfly. I can't tell. Is it wings held outwards or the wings held along the body?
I think along the body.
Along the body. So that'd be more like a mayfly or a damselfly. And I'm gonna have to creep forward again. Let me creep forward. Yeah.
Just put your shoe and make sure.
Try not to. Where are we looking here?
See the piece of dead grass?
The dead grass. PK.
Can you zoom out?
Okay, you're gonna zoom out a bit. Okay.
The tip here, the dead grass here. Check.
Oh yeah. I see the dead grass tip.
Down along a bit.
Oh, there I am. Oh, Gary, this wings are so delicate because I tell you what, this insect that BK has found on this grass is literally about 3 centimeters long, and it's about 100 meters away from us. It's like a kilometer away from us. I'm gonna get a bit closer to it so I can have a gander. So I've got my binoculars with me now. Those wings are so delicate and tiny. I mean, it's so small my binoculars can't even focus on that. Beaks, amazing eyesight. You should be guide and cameraman. I'll just be there for logistics. It's so small, everyone. I've never seen something so pretty though. I'm gonna have to look up on my trusty insect app what exactly is this creature. But it's near water. It's a mayfly or a damselfly of some description, and just like moths and butterflies, I believe they have a very short lifespan once they're actually adult. They live a long time as a larvae. Damsel. What is the? They are in the. Oh no! I chased it. I'm so sorry. You see it still? Yep. Yeah, I see it's there. It's literally so small. Oh, and it bobs its little abdomen when it moves. It'll take me a bit of searching, everyone. I'll have to come back to this one, uno momento, because I can't tell you what it is. I'm really struggling to find it. It's in the lace wing family. Rowan's still bumbling around, so I'm going to be looking up this insect whilst he does that, and I'll get back to you with my thoughts. Just hold that thought, everyone. You just hold that thought.
Just to get this up in there, I did not call Mike a monkey. His nickname is apparently Momo, and BK is Bobo. So it's gone that far now. We are still on our way to the first dam. I've sped up now. I've actually got my foot on the accelerator. It seems that Wendy is not really working yet. I think they'll still spend a bit of time on her, see if they can find the issue. And then maybe Lauren still joins us a little bit later on. So I have to see what happens. Oh, beautiful sky, hey? Actually quite nice with the whiter clouds, catching a bit of sun there in front of the dark cloud, or behind the dark cloud, sorry. Just checking if the roof is still stable. Rotussi, so Spurfowl and Franklin always used to be the same species, but apparently the spur on a Spurfowl, so that's, let's say this is a claw, they've got a spur here, it's supposed to be bigger and longer, and then the color of the legs is also, well, different, but not always. Because I remember our guest asked me why is a Swainson Spurfowl a Spurfowl and why is a Crested Franklin a Franklin, and I think the one is supposed to have yellow legs and the other is supposed to have orange legs, but I do think they actually made the differentiation on the length and size of the spur. I'm just giggling because Lauren has to go do dam cam. I find that quite funny. Mac wants to see how Ribbon and her cubs are doing. So Mac, I don't think she was there this morning. And I know Lauren was quite keen to go there, so I'm actually going to hold off on that see if Lauren does get out with Wendy. I'll leave that up to her, and then stick to my original plan of checking 2 dams and Chitwa. Sorry Mac, but otherwise, if there's nothing happening on Chitwa and Lauren does not get out and Wendy does not have life in her, then we can probably head over to Ribbon's Den. I made it to my first watering hole. How great is that? Sorry Odie, if you nearly fell out there. So basically every ranger knows that on a day like today there's really no need to check a watering hole because it's been raining, it's not very hot. Yet, when you know where they are, you actually just want to check watering holes because what if? But there's no what if here today. It's the kingfisher being very loud, and of course an Egyptian goose and some blacksmith lapwing. But we made it to our first dam. Now we're on dam cam as well. Arctic circle. Are there different species of crocodile? I only know of the Nile crocodile that occurs in Africa. Did these Egyptian geese not have chicks the other time we were here?
No, not at this one.
Not this one, eh? Shame, I'm sure she had chicks at some stage, just not. Because every single other dam we've been at, there's a pair of Egyptian geese and they've had chicks. So this one might have just lost hers. Poor girl. It was a Chitwa and Buffelshoek. Buffalo weaver's chirping up. Kingfisher's still going. Actually, a buffalo weaver's flying straight towards us. Veered off now. I think he's just going to go collect maybe a dry piece of branch that they want to add to the nest. So I find them rather interesting birds because in a nest there'll be one male that is dominant, and then inside the nest he'll have a couple of females and they'll just take up chambers and lay their eggs in these chambers, but just only one male. And then they'll all build the nest together. I think let's actually just sit here quietly for 2 minutes or so, you know, just enjoy the sounds of nature before we zoom off again and go check the next watering hole. I actually think the impalas would walk down and go have a drink of water, but it's taking some time.
Did a bit of digging, did some research, and came up with that this is a damselfly, which is what we originally sort of said. And the specific type of damselfly is a bluet. B-L-U-E-T, bluet. And this one is most likely a swamp bluet, which is one of the smallest of the bluets, one of the smallest of the damselflies, but one of the most common as well. And it describes it as fairly conspicuous despite its small size. Conspicuous meaning that it's obvious, it's easy to see. It's clearly not the case when it comes to me. I'm basically clinically blind, apparently. And we were discussing, what does it eat? I mean, does it eat like a dragonfly, or does it not eat at all? And they do hunt. They hunt for soft-bodied insects, like mosquitoes and mayflies and things like that. And they don't really hunt for ground insects, but occasionally they might pick something soft up, like an aphid, but not very often at all. Mostly they hunt for soft-bodied flying insects near water. Very pretty, very interesting little damselfly. Isn't it just beautiful, Nadia? Blue in nature, or at least with birds, is not a very easy to produce pigment, and I'm assuming it's probably quite the same for insects. So it's not often, or not very often, that you see beautiful blue colors on stuff. So whenever you see blue out in the bush, it always just catches your eye, and it's like, oh wow, what a beautiful little thing. I wonder if that color helps to attract the things that it eats. Perhaps small flies are attracted to it because it thinks, oh, is that a small flower? As they get closer, they get chomped. I don't know. Very nice to see such small little critters around. I'm still looking for the bigger critters, the ones with feathers. Failing miserably at the moment. Mindy, the tail is very elongated. Remember, a lot of insects have quite a, how can I say, like a robust abdomen. Quite chunky. Because remember, the smaller and thinner things are, the easier they are to get too cold, or to cool down very quickly. And so on cold days, a shape of body like this is not great, but for flying, swift and fast, that way, this insect is able to have all the organs that it needs and still be able to be very streamlined. And it's very flexible, which means that it can touch the tips of the water where it probably lays its eggs, or mate with the females quite easily while still remaining upright and away, so that its wings don't get caught up in the vegetation as it's laying its eggs, or the body of the female as it tries to mate. This could be a female, I'm not really sure the difference between the two. Oh, but it's incredible. We're saying how tiny things, so perfectly formed and functional, yet how is it possible to be so small? So being so small like this has some other benefits though as well. You can remain undetected quite often, and you also don't need to breathe. Many insects, like these, damselflies, they just take in water and oxygen just through their skin, or not really the skin, the exoskeleton, through things called spiracles, which is pretty interesting. Also, we are lucky we can spot tiny things like this. Lauren, however, has got the dam cam, which means she can spot things from further afield. So let's have a look what she's got. What's she rocking with us?
Oh, thank you, Mike. It is unfortunate indeed. Good afternoon, everyone. I am on Damcam. We were on Wendy. Marcel and Tyrone, our mechanic, have been working tirelessly on her since breakfast. They did such a good job. They got her going, but sadly there's another issue, and it's just, Yes, I am sure she will get there. It's not my favorite place to be on Dam Cam, but at least we can have lots of discussions, anything you want to know, and I'll try my best to find some animals, but at least I do have some impala. And you can see they're all munching away on the grass. This is the time of joy. The food is plentiful for all the herbivores, and I get asked a lot, how do herbivores get their protein? And I think it's probably because I used to be vegan that I get asked that question a lot. But, oh no, don't get mobile, guys. I'm not fast enough to keep up with you. Of course they get protein. Some of the biggest animals in the world are herbivores. Gorillas, giraffes, elephants, rhino, huge animals, and they only eat plant material. And naturally, we are monogastric. We've just got one stomach pouch, one entrance, one exit, and that's it. We're not particularly good at digesting plant matter as a human, but herbivores naturally are. Of course they are. And they've got a highly developed GI tract, if you like, and that contains lots of bacteria. So really, it's not the animal themselves, the ruminant, these guys that we're looking at right now, inyalas and impalas, that actually break down the material. They eat the grass, but it's actually the bacteria in the stomach that's doing all that work. And it's cellulose that's the most difficult thing to break down. And once the cellulose is actually broken down, then the nutrients are readily available, and that's what humans struggle with. But these guys, impala, they don't. So they can eat. They're mixed ecotone feeders, so they can eat really anything. But once this sort of rumination is complete, they have access to so many nutrients inside the grass, and that does include amino acids. And as soon as you've got amino acids, bam, you've got protein. All bodies, all living things are equipped to produce protein because, of course, it's necessary. So it's actually the rumen microbes that are responsible for the breakdown of the plant material. They are doing all the work, and it's fermentation, if you like. If you compare a cow and a horse, a cow is a ruminant, but a horse is a hindgut fermenter. So they do it in different ways, but they're still using fermentation. And that's why the GI tract of many herbivores is so long, much longer than ours. So in a cow, the large part is the rumen pouch of the stomach, and in a horse, the large part is a huge colon, because the fermentation is done in the hindgut. It doesn't have those 4 little pouches that a ruminant does. And it's fascinating when you think about it. They're just very well equipped to break down plant matter, and we are just not. You can actually think of a cow as a beer brewer. I mean, both of them put plant material into a dark, wet environment, which is fairly anaerobic, and with microbes, there you go, you've got a tasty, more nutritious end product, beer or broken down plant material, whichever you prefer. So I think I'm going to enjoy my impala that's getting a very good clean in a sensitive region for a while, and we're going to send you guys over to Roro.
I'm at the second dam. That was a lot quicker than getting to the first dam. So we are now at twin dams. There's a bit of water in the twin of the dam as well, which is quite nice to see on our left, but we're showing the more water. Strangely enough, no, okay, so this one has 3 impala instead of just 2 males. Just trying to find my binoculars quick so I can hear what seems like a Wahlberg's eagle calling somewhere. Just can't find it.
Dead tree.
Yeah. Seems to be looking down.
Check this one.
There. So in front of the Balanites there's a dead branch going up, and he's in the upper reaches. Yeah, zoom in a little bit more. Scratching his head now. There we go. Of course, the smallest eagle that you'll find in these areas. They come all the way from East Africa every single year to come breed here. They're quite amazing. Hey? Imagine no GPS, no nothing, but they come to exactly the same nest over and over again. So its mate is calling from
I'm leaving this
to
look,
the right of us.
open look.
Mark, you're so right. They always look so grumpy. It's wonderful. I don't know, Mark, if you've ever seen a martial eagle, but it looks like it wants to kill you whenever it looks at you. Odie, so I found a friend, and it's actually quite nice because the one we were looking at now was just the brown morph, and then that dead tree on the right, I think it's actually the first one you framed up, so that's the pale morph.
I thought it was there.
So you were right. There's the other one. It looks a bit weird just because of the stick silhouette, but I promise you can actually see the white breast on it. Mark, I don't know if you've ever played the game Angry Birds, but I think that should be based on either owls or eagles. They always just look so grumpy. Same thing with a pole-spotted owlet. Whew, scary look on their face. So usually with eagles, actually majority of predatory birds, the females tend to be larger than the males. And of course this is for incubation purposes. So the female is quite a bit larger to sit on the eggs and keep them warm. So I think from here we'll start heading into Chitwa and see what's happening on that property.
I'm just trying to catch up with my mobile animals, all the antelopes around the dam. There we go. The Egyptian geese were just here as well, which was so lovely with all their chicks. But still, this is a really nice view. The animals don't know we're watching them. So we're just going to sit here for a moment or two and listen to all the sounds around the dam.
Can you shift this?
Isn't it so peaceful, just sitting here watching the wildlife go about their day.
So now our weather is changing drastically. You can actually probably see it in front of us. The wind through the grass. We've had some very big raindrops coming down, and it seems it's mostly coming from the eastern side. And we are going to drive into it because our plan is to go to Chitwa, which I'm okay with. I've got my rain jacket. But just before we head into Chitwa, I want to drive this little riverbed, the Luwati, because this is not too far from where we had Langa. It's not too far from where we had Langa last night. Also, just want to listen to the radio quick. So I'm on the Chitwa channel, see what they have to say, what they found, so we know where to go. I think Gonzo means tracks. What they're talking about now.
In the roadside. Okay.
It's like small tidbits of messages coming through. So all I got was Nkonzo in the road. It doesn't really help me much. But as we get closer, we'll get more and more comms with them. And then we'll try to figure it out from there. David, you want to know what are the biggest eagles in the area? So in South Africa, your three largest eagles would be a crowned eagle, a Verreaux's eagle, and then a Marshall eagle. So around here, there's been reports of Verreaux's eagles here, but you tend to mostly see Marshall eagles. And I know a Marshall eagle can pick up something that weighs 8 kilograms. So of course, if you have a small dog, a poodle or something like that in the area, it's not even safe from eagles. Let's go down here. But stunning birds, David, I don't know. There's just something about predatory birds that fascinates me. Even as a kid, all I wanted to do was try falconry. And I went to a couple of bird shows as a kid with my parents, and also on little school trips. And it's just absolutely amazing to get up close to them and watch them hunt. Actually, I've got a friend that does it. I think he does it with a fish eagle. A few adverts where he lets the fish eagle loose, catches it. So that's absolutely wonderful. Odie, will we fit under there with a roof? Okay. We'll take the next little 2-track.
Check on the lines, and they are in exactly the same places they have been, and they're quite clear.
Okay. So I'm listening to 2 radios. This one, Djuma area. This one, Chitwa area. It'd be a disaster if I mixed up the 2, and then I thought they were talking about Chitwa in here and Djuma in here. Imagine. That's why that one is on my left hand side, and this one I'll just clip in of me on the right. It's such a beautiful area. I think any you get to drive is just wonderful. food. Not all. Hit on dad. Alright.
Gonna go live. I found the chicks again. The sweetest little chicks. Egyptian geese are not entirely everybody's favorite bird. And we always have a joke here that if you're filming Egyptian geese and it's a very quiet day, but of course when they have chicks, it's absolutely fabulous. I've still met a South African human to say that they actually like Egyptian geese, but maybe Mike or Rowan might have a different opinion. It's a little bit tricky to see now. They've just completely disappeared into the long grass. The weather's changing. I imagine that they're seeking shelter. I thought I saw a dragonfly there. I was going to try and do a dragonfly on the dram cam. Can you believe it? But let's see if we can get a better view of the chicks for you. Just like that, they've disappeared. You know, I love to talk about senses. It's one of my favorite topics. The sensory realm, each and every individual organism's sort of how they perceive their environment, because it's also different. And when you think about the amazing world of animals and sort of their visual capacity, birds are actually right up there at the top with having really incredible vision. And that's obviously because for safe flight, you need to be able to see well. I mean, I think if you can't see well, you're probably not going to be a good flyer. You may have a few crashes, shall we say. So no matter what bird species you actually are, they're right up the top, seeing well. And humans are also not terribly bad at seeing as well. We don't see the same as many of the animals in the animal kingdom, but we're actually not that bad at vision, to be honest. I mean, we see the stars glowing from millions of light years away. We see quite a wide range of colors. We can also see for miles if our vision's not obstructed, and I fully understand some people don't see as well as others, but still. I mean, eyes are really testaments to evolution's creativity, if you think about it. And at the end of the day, no matter what organism you are, eyes do the same basic thing. I mean, they detect light and they convert it into electrical signals, but in such a wide variety of way, and they allow the organism to interpret a picture of what's happening in front of them. I mean, if you think about dragonflies' brain works so fast, I spoke about this the other day, that it actually sees movement in slow motion, because the brain is processing what is happening in front of it multiple times faster than us, that they actually see things in slow motion, which makes them incredible hunters. Snakes pick up infrared heat signals on warm objects. They're seeing infrared, which helps them detect their prey. Horsey and zebras have eyes on the side of their heads, which gives them peripheral vision to see threats coming from behind, especially if you're a zebra. But when it comes to birds, they are the ones that really stand out the most. And birds are actually tetrachromatic. We are only trichromatic, so they actually see a much sort of bigger spectral field of vision than we do. And there's a wonderful diagram. I wonder if I can maybe print it out one day. I'll try and print it because I can't show you the phone, and show you guys. It puts together the images that a human sees, and then it puts together an image that the birds see. And it's the same image, but it's how these two different organisms see the image. I'll try and print it out. Oh no, I don't think we have a colored printer, so that's not gonna work. Anyway, Luke, you're asking, are any animals born blind? Yes, in a way. So a lot of altricial young, for example, your leopards and your lions, their offspring are born what we call altricial. And they're not technically blind, but their eyes are closed shut and their eyes are not ready to be open yet and start being utilized to see. So when they're in the first few days after being born, they really cannot see, but that isn't technically classified as blind, I guess. When you do want to talk about blind, some species of moles, like I'm pretty sure the star-nosed mole is completely blind. There's blind cavefish, blind salamanders, also flatworms, lots of different organisms that over the sort of a period of time, the eyes have just evolved to not be necessary anymore. I mean, if you're a cavefish, I don't know how good your life is, you're living in a cave, but why would you have eyes? It's dark constantly. You've got that lateral line that you detect pressure changes. A lot of cave fish, like catfish, have those barbels that are sensory appendages that can detect food and find their prey. So why bother with eyes? Why would the body waste energy on eyes when you don't need them? And that's because of the environment. The environment has impacted that species, so they no longer need eyes. So yes, a lot of animals are blind. And a lot of animals don't use their eyes in the first stages when they're very, very young. And it's a little bit later that they naturally start to use their eyes, or the eyes develop. Vision's actually an incredible topic. I was very short-sighted when I was younger, minus 5.5. And I got laser surgery to reach 20/20 again. So vision really, really fascinates me, especially when you dive into it in the animal kingdom.
Just going to enjoy these beautiful mature grasses blowing in this breeze. And listen to see if we can hear any birds calling on the wind. The sun is just creeping its way down from the zenith now, so it'll start cooling soon. Perhaps the birds will get a little more active then. This breeze is wonderful. I mean, I can hear a few in the distance. Cape turtle doves, a few francolin and spurfowls, rattling cisticolas.
Well, the weather has done a complete U-turn. For Rowan and Owen, the Roro and the Oro are stuck in the rain and it's pretty heavy. I'm sure you might actually be able to hear it. I'm sitting inside the FC. I think those chicks knew this was coming. I mean, we've been talking about vision, but organisms have all sorts of senses. They're so in tune with their environment because they have to be. That's their phenomena. That's all they have. We have lost touch with that. We're more in touch with Instagram and Facebook and Netflix, and I'm obviously generalizing here, but humans have really, we need to restore our connection with nature. And I know a lot of people are, for sure. But humans have definitely moved away from it. But I'm convinced the mother Egyptian goose and those chicks are hiding in the long grass. They knew this was coming. And a lot of people ask, what do animals do in the rain? I mean, they don't have a choice. There's nowhere to go. Wow, this is very, very heavy rain. I hope Rusty are okay out there. They have got a roof on, but once I don't like that. Sorry, the damn cam controls are going a bit funny there. Let me just use my window wiper. Love that function. Oh my goodness, yeah. I mean, it's been looming over us all day. And I didn't count our little screen that we look at the damn cam on. It's really not great. I didn't get to count. There were a lot of them though, that's for sure. Oh my goodness, this is really not. This is a damn cam now also getting wet. But yes, if I see them again, I will absolutely try to count, but otherwise I didn't get a good look. Okay, it's going to be a bit of a struggle to find anything now. Dave, I think it would be a little bit worrying if organisms died every time it rained. This is the low felt, and this sort of annual cycle here is very much a dry, harsh winter, very dry, and a really, really wet summer. Thunderstorms are the essence of summer, and they bring about the rain. Or they should. I mean, in years of drought, it's a little bit different. So if every time there was heavy rain, dragonflies died, I don't think that would be a very good survival technique. So most organisms, if they can, they will just take shelter. They'll go under a leaf or under a tree or nestle themselves into a thick bush. They will get wet, but they will also be absolutely equipped for rain. I mean, this is normal. It's completely normal for summer to rain. It's warm. It's always warm. It's never really cold in summer, but it gets wet. So yes, they absolutely do survive. I mean, maybe a torrential thunderstorm that washed them into a puddle, of course, but generally speaking, across the board, they will survive. And I think all organisms except us are aware of things like this coming, things like this approaching. Thunderstorms, lightning, strong winds, pressure changes, and of course they will seek shelter. I have to say I was a little bit bummed that I couldn't get out on drive, but I am very pleased now that I'm sitting here nice and dry. So as I enjoy being dry, we're going to send you guys over to Mike on the bushwalk.
Oh my word, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. Dun, dun, dun. You too. There's the clouds that that's busy smashing. Well, I don't know if it's smashing Juma, but it's raining on Juma at the moment. In the far distance there, you can see the clouds right down there, far, far away. Okay, what we are going to be doing is heading down to the small waterhole over here where we had signal before and some cool content. So let's head down there. We have to do it slowly and carefully. Of course, as you know, we haven't got a backup with us. The vehicle's right behind us. We're only going to be like 20 meters away from the car, but we just want to make sure that we are safe. I want to have a little snack though whilst we're heading down there. You remember these things, right? The snot berries, or the fruits from the satin-barked saucerberry. Look at that. Mmm, delicious. It really does. Delicious. Oh, I just wish the texture was different. The flavor, though, unbeatable. BK, you love them, right? BK was not a big fan. And once more. No, I can't get enough of them. I think they're great. I wish you guys could taste them. I think they taste a bit like honey. Like really slimy, icky honey. Yuck. I don't like the texture though. I really wish the texture was different. Okay. As you can see, it is kind of thick here. The wind is blowing. So we can't hear exactly perfectly well what's around us. And we know there's been buffaloes in the area. However, we haven't seen any buffalo tracks or signs around here. But we have got some hyena tracks though. These are new. These weren't here last time we were here. So there are hyenas coming to this waterhole frequently. Let's come around this way. It's a bit more open. Another one of those spittle bugs just down here. We showed you one, I think it was this morning. On this piece of grass here. It must be a specific type of spittle bug that really likes the grass. You see that nice foamy mess over there? It's a secretion that's keeping that little insect moist. Stops it from drying out and also keeps it safe from any biting insects. But I don't want to leave him alone. I don't want to disturb him too much. Don't want to destroy his little foam nest that he's created. Right, let's keep going a little bit more. Hopefully we haven't lost you guys. I haven't heard any comms for a little while. I'm assuming everything is fine. Okay, I can see the water hole. So I've got lots of those devilish grass seeds. We're going to send you over to Rowan whilst we get a bit close to this water hole. He's busy sheltering from the rain and it sounds like he's having a wonderful time.
Yeah, we were a bit late in finding shelter, so a tiny bit wet. But now sitting underneath a beautiful jackalberry and just waiting for the rain to ease up a little bit. It doesn't sound too hard now, but you can actually see it just dripping from the roof. It's come down quite hard. From the sounds of the radio, it seems that majority of the guys that were out on drive has had. Majority of them don't have a roof on top. Luckily, Odie and I, and Lauren and Darby put the roof up. And here we are, just waiting and waiting and waiting. This came out of nowhere, weirdly enough. The wind just picked up and then boom, we started getting wet. but I've been stuck in worse places. So I've been way wetter on drives. Aardwolf, not with my own eyes. I've heard of giraffe dying because of lightning, but I've never seen it. Yeah, I've never come across a carcass like that. So I'm just trying to shift to my left. There's a leak in the roof and it's falling on my knee. Yeah, Aardwolf, no, so I've seen pictures of it and I've heard of it happening, but never actually seen it with my own eyes. Oh, I think that would be a dismal sight as well. And I can imagine how much it would stink, like fried meat. Shame. I've seen, sadly what I have seen is giraffe, elephant, rhinos, tortoises, things like that getting stuck in a fire, so they escape with burn wounds or burn marks. That's also never nice to see. You do feel sorry for them. Of course, the majority of the animals are fast enough, but if you've ever seen a wildfire, it pretty much creates its own wind and just fuels itself. So Odie and I are gonna sit here for a while and just wait for the rain to die down a little bit. Hopefully it does die down. We're quite a way away from camp, so we'll just see what happens.
We're just sitting listening to the pitter-patter of the rain. All the animals have all but disappeared. But rain can be really relaxing when you're sitting inside and you're just listening. It can actually make you feel quite sleepy. So we're going to sit here, watch and listen to the rainfall around Gowrie Dam. Definitely relaxing. I'm not sure how much more rain we're actually in store for.
Found an interesting, so we've managed to walk down to that little water hole, that little pan, and there is a spider spread out on top of the water. Now, it's like a huntsman spider of some sort, I assume. I don't know what exact species it is. Water skimmer, but I mean, most spiders can do this. Spiders are covered in these fine hairs, and when they spread their legs out like that and they rest their abdomen on the water, they have enough surface area. They spread their weight enough that they don't break the surface of the water. And now something else I'm seeing as I'm looking closer and closer, I actually noticed that there are thousands and thousands of tiny creatures in the water swimming around. That was actually terrifying. I don't know what those little tiny creatures are. If you look in the water just underneath the spider, there's like lots of little white dots or pale dots all over it, BK. I don't know what they are, but I certainly don't like them. I don't like that at all. It must be the larvae of some sort of small creature. It's not mosquitoes. Mosquito larvae look a bit different, but indicates the larvae of some creature. You can't. Yeah, I think through the water it'll be quite difficult. That's all right. It's not only is there the spider waiting for something to creep close towards it, a water skimming beetle or insect or something, a fly coming to the water's edge. There's also those strange bee-like creatures coming and going again from those mud holes that they're busy digging in. See just over there, there's a little hole in the dirt where there's a bit of a crack, and these little bees keep flying and landing and going into the ground. They collect a bit of mud and they fly out again. Still have not been able to identify what exact species of bee or fly these are. Nadia's asking BK, what's your least favorite spider? Do you have one that you're like particularly don't like?
Spider?
Bark spiders. Yeah, that's true actually. So Nadia, I think BK and I are on the same page here. Spiders that make webs across the road. So when you're driving along and they get on you. So BK said a bark spider. So these are amazing creatures, no doubt, and not too dangerous to us, although they can give a nasty bite. But when you're driving and those webs get on you, and you don't know where the spider is, it's quite terrifying. So although they're not comfortable, I don't like them to drive into them because of you damaging the webs and they get on you and it's not a nice feeling. But for me, it's those creepy, crawly hunting spiders, those free-roaming hunting spiders that come into the tents and things. I mean, at Pride Lands, it's a very rustic camp, and so many times during the night you go in and you've got your torch on and all of a sudden you see this little spider creeping along, and you always try and remove them. But sometimes it's quite nerve-wracking because many of them are very venomous. You get things like sack spiders that make nests in your fold in your clothing if you leave it messy, or violin spiders that run around, scampering around looking for small insects. But of course, if those things climb on your bed at night and you roll over and they bite you, they can give you a bit of a wound, which is not so pleasant. I don't think I dislike any spiders, but there are some that I prefer not to have close to me. All of them. Stuma's out. They are being absolutely hammered with rain. It's either the rain or the gremlins, so you're stuck with us for the moment, everyone. I hope you don't mind staring at creepy crawly spiders and bugs. So this spider is taking a little break. BK's going to have to stand up. He can't crouch too much longer. Careful, BK. He's standing right on the mud there. You're all about to see BK fall face first on top of this spider. I wonder if we're going to get visited by a larger creature at some point. This waterhole hasn't been used in the last day or two by anything large except for the hyena. But it's possible. I keep having to take my earpiece out. We're staring at this spider so much that we need to look around. So Beaks, I don't know if you want to rest that camera on something because we're going to be here for a little while. Maybe you can rest the camera on something and we can just do like a little silent moment where we just listen and see what we can hear, what might turn up. This looks like a good place to sit though. What do you reckon, everyone? It's a good place to chill out? I think so. Let me give you a hand. Can I give you one hand? Beaks. Oh no. Oh no. Have a look at DK's foot. He's just taken a bit of a tumble in the mud. It's not too bad. We'll wipe it off. Right, everyone. We're going to just wait here and see. Maybe some interesting bird life arrives or something. just enjoying the beautiful scenes. Twinkling light, the green swaying grasses. It's just gorgeous. A lot of small birds calling. Nothing visible at the moment. Ringneck doves, laughing doves, blue waxbills. I'm certain that in this little drainage line must also be a crake of some sort. BK and I did get a glimpse of an unidentified crake as we were driving down towards this area. We weren't able to get eyes on it properly. It will remain a mystery. After this, I think we'll take a short walk back up towards the car and see what we see on the way up there. What little tracks and signs we might be able to find.
Okay, we're still exactly in the same spot, waiting out the rain. It should be maybe another 5 minutes or so. There's some clear skies east of us, which is good news because that's where we wanted to go. And it actually seems that the storm hopefully was heading east to west. Although if you look in front of us now, yeah, it's going to start coming again now. So it might be a little bit longer than 5 minutes. Yo, Odie, and we nearly left. It's just once we start driving, then the rain will actually come into the car, just make us very wet. Jane, most likely that all animals can sense the rain is coming. I think they'll be able to pick up atmospheric pressure changes, the wind change, and probably be able to smell the moisture as well. So I think that would be all animals that can sense the rain coming. Extraordinary abilities. I mean, you've heard of animals when they know a tsunami is coming or something bad's going to happen, that they go take to higher ground, stuff like that. And yeah, we're not really that good at it yet, with all the technology in the world. But again, it's not the worst place to be stuck. Under a beautiful jackalberry, under a roof, in a riverbed. The Wahlberg's eagle is still calling every now and then off to our left somewhere. We can't see it. Oh, now you can hear the rain coming down harder again. I fixed the little leak in the roof. Just put some tape in there, so now it's not leaking on my knee anymore. Actually in quite a happy place, I'll be honest. All we need now is for a leopard to walk past us. And it'll just be absolutely perfect. Arctic Circle, you should be able to see pied crow here. I haven't seen one yet since I've been here, but to be honest, I haven't seen a. No, I have. I've now seen a Battalier. I went for a run yesterday and actually saw Battalier flying over quarantine. So yeah, but you would be able to find pied crow. Yeah, they're basically everywhere. Not my favorite bird. Actually, to be honest, I think anyone that really works as a guide or ranger out here, they don't tend to like pied crows. Very clever though. Can't outsmart them. It's like an Indian miner, same thing. Super, super, super clever birds. Actually, out in Ghana, you used to see them mobbing at marshal eagles, at tawny eagles. Oh. This rain is just starting to come down hard again. So let me try to find the radio, put it under some covers, and it's quite loud now. Wrong radio. Right radio. Seems like they're talking about something on Buffalo's Hook. I don't think anyone else is out on Juma. Okay, now he's saying he just got back to camp now. The rain's coming down too hard. But I mean, if you veer off to the left, you can actually see blue skies. So you're just underneath a cloud cover. I'm waiting for that patch to start hitting us. Then we'll be A for away. When this little bit of rain started, it was still sunny. The weirdest thing. In Afrikaans we say, jakkals trou met wolf se vrou. Means the jackal's marrying the wolf's wife. Much needed rain though, much better than that 2016-2017 drought. That was actually just scary. Melissa says she's loving the sound of the rain on the roof. Yeah, especially when you sleep. It's so nice. When I was a kid, I didn't like it at all. Just any incessant kind of like tick or constant tick kept me awake. To this day, I can't sleep with a clock in my room or next to my bed that tick, 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 tick. I'll actually start focusing on it and then I can't fall asleep. I think what I start doing is counting the seconds and then yeah, it keeps me awake. That's why the whole thing about counting sheep never made sense to me. How can you count something and try to fall asleep at the same time? Not that I have any issues sleeping, to be honest. Being out here all day long in the sun, I sleep like a baby. It's actually quite nice to see all the moisture on the grass now. And the woodlands kingfisher is starting to call again. The wahlbergs have now stopped. And the rain is easing up. Just we don't want to drive forward out of the protection of this tree because I'm not really too sure how far the next big tree is. But the blue sky is now coming closer and closer, which is good news. So now maybe 5 minutes and then we'll start heading towards Chitwa. But actually, when we were driving here earlier, I would love to walk in this drainage line. It is really just one of the prettiest places. I don't really know how far it stretches into Juma or how far you can actually walk in it, but it would just be perfect. Really a lovely walk. I think you'd see some epic things, epic tracks. But yeah, so while we wait for the rain to stop, we're going to send you to Lauren on Dam Cam.
Poor Rowan. Yes, it's also not so easy for me on Dam Cam. All has disappeared. But we shall just keep spinning around and see if we can see anybody moving. It's not that the animals have actually disappeared. They're obviously just seeking shelter. Run for the hills, hide from the rain. Safari lover, haven't heard your name in a while. It all depends on the organism. So you have to think of, okay, let's just use the cats as an example, because naturally we see a lot of cats out here versus, I'm gonna go past the tree, sorry. Oh, you gotta love that view. There's some wire and there's some bark. Okay, there we go. The predator, let's just say a leopard versus an impala, for example. I don't even know what to look at. There's literally nothing here. I'll give you a beautiful view of the dam. And an impala is not going to be able to give birth to an altricial lamb, meaning that there's no way an impala can sort of have a den side and have a weak cub that's blind, underdeveloped, and sort of keep coming back to the den, suckling and keep it protected. That lamb would never, ever, ever survive. So for an impala's social structure, behavior, the way that they operate, their biology, their ecology, it's important that their young are born ready to hit the ground running. Literally, it's important that they're developed fully developed so that they can keep up with the herd. That's their protection. They can keep up with mom and they can really just start their life immediately. Now, if you think about the predator, they do have altricial cubs. Now, an impala pregnancy, which is going to allow for that longer development, is just over 6 months, 6.5 months. That's a long time. And if you think of a predator like a leopard, Kalamba being pregnant for 6.5 months with a huge swollen tummy, she's a solitary hunter. There's absolutely no way that Kalamba could survive with a huge belly and hunt and successfully raise her cubs. It would be a complete and utter hindrance. So they're pregnant for a really short period of time, half of that of the impala, which means the fetus has not had a long time to develop in the womb, and therefore they are born altricial. They are born weak and underdeveloped. But the predators stash them in the den, of course, keep them hidden and keep returning with lots of food. So it really depends on the lifestyle of that organism as to how the young will be born. An impala having an altricial lamb is never, ever, ever going to survive, really, if you think about it. It needs to keep up with the herd for protection. So it really depends on the organism as to what kind of young they're going to have. I hope that answered your question. But I mean, hyenas are often described as precocial, but I don't know if I would go so far to say completely precocial. They are sort of in between. A little bit more developed than the cats, but then the pregnancy or the gestation period is a little bit longer, so they've just developed that little bit more. And if you think about us, we are born completely altricial. We are helpless. Our eyes don't really focus and don't start to see straight away. We are completely reliant on mom. We are definitely not like impala lambs. Listening to the sound of the rain. It doesn't sound as heavy anymore. A lot of people like to put rain music on or rain sounds on to fall asleep. So I hope you're all not snoring by now. Okay, let me do another scan around. You can very easily catch animals walking across the damn wall. I'm surprised there are not more foam nests around. You can see two, but I'm surprised there are not more. Okay. I'm going to keep scratching around for any sign of life, and we're going to send you guys over to Rowan, who's probably rather soggy.
Nope, I came out completely soaked though, because as we moved all the water just came from the side. But my best part about it was we came out of the riverbed and we actually went uphill and everything leaked to the back, and Odie is just as soaked as I am. So that was quite fun to listen to. And yeah, we are slowly on our way to Chitwa again. But I mean, it's quite a bit of rain that came down. It's literally running down the road, eroding the side already. And my tape, so I fixed a little hole here and it's not working anymore, so now it's just dripping all over my leg. What can you do? At least there's a wildebeest in the road and an impala to the right of it. Obviously they don't mind the rain so much, so it must be quite nice for them to cool down just a little bit. Fairly certain there'd be more than one impala there, but probably only the one wildebeest. Most likely a territorial male. Is not far from a pan system, so good area to have a territory. And then a lilac-breasted roller just landed in the road in front of them. So, everything's happening on this road. Nothing was happening in the riverbed, except we were getting wet. There's also a tortoise crossing the road now. Doesn't look like a leopard tortoise, so probably a hinged tortoise. They're actually very fast. That looks like Gregory's size. So luckily the rain has now completely stopped. I think has moved actually further south, most likely southeast, sort of. So we can start driving again, because now the rain's not being blown into our face and is specifically not into the camera. So we're okay. Continue on our way to Chitwa. Luckily, we parked under the tree just in time to put all the covers on. Of course, we don't want any of the cables, the batteries, or the camera to get wet. Otherwise, it won't function. Wow. All males. Only male impalas and a male wildebeest. Nice little bit bachelor crew. They're quite similar ages here. To compare all their horns, it looks to be sort of the same size. And the wildebeest, I don't know what he's looking at, but he's staring into the bush. A very large animal. Could be quite dangerous. Well, any animal really, if you back it up into a corner, could be dangerous. Love how he just moves with them. They now starting to make their way up the road, also going towards Chitwa, like we were. The wildebeest will just stick with them. Another nicest thing about this rain now that it's stopped, the bird calls are unbelievable. It is literally just coming from every single direction. There's just so much going on. Beautiful to listen to.
Seconds. Beautiful leopard dam. We've made our way across to sheltered waters. See what this place can produce for us. Of course, the Egyptian geese family still doing very well. Still with all 6 chicks, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, yeah, 6. All 6 are still there. Looking happy and healthy. I'm assuming they're around the mother. I feel like with most birds, the female has more parental instinct or parental care. Not all though. Some water birds, like African jacana, definitely the males are the caregivers. Still looking for new birds that might arrive at the water's edge. Maybe we'll get surprised by some elephants again. I'm always amazed by how quickly these little geese, these little goslings, can fledge. In just a couple of months, they can go from these little fluffy bundles that look like they're not good for anything except cuddling, to, fully fledged adults that basically live just like the adults. Logan, they are adorable, right? I mean, I just want to try and grab one, to be honest. I mean, they've got 6, they can probably miss one, right? No, actually, I'd have to take 2 because you'd want it to have a buddy. So it just takes them 8 weeks, 2 months, to start flapping their wings. And the fledging period can be as little as 55 days, according to the Roberts app, and up to 84 days. Okay? It's got some interesting statistics here. It says the fledglings spend up to 21% of their time evading predators. Imagine if you had to spend 21% of your time, awake or asleep, avoiding predators. How crazy is that? I don't know if I could even live like that. Well, anyway, Rowan's avoiding rain, so let's ask him how that feels. We'll send you over to him.
it's it's a tricky thing. I've driven in rainstorms before where I could barely breathe. Literally cap on, rain jacket on, poncho on, but it was coming down so hard I had to put my hand here and try breathe just because just too much rain. And then you look back and all your guests are just sitting like this, pulling. That's a terrible angle. All the water's now just leaking on me. I mean, just continue driving rather than try explain. But yeah, they pull their ponchos down, sit in a ball, and you just race back to the lodge. That's quite fun, you know. In the end, it's all part of the experience. Stop it now. And it's just a different experience in the bush. Even for guests that's been to the bush very, very often. Okay, so we've got a visual of Chitwa Dam now. She decided to loop in from this side first. The airstrip. From the airstrip, check 2 or 3 roads, and then we're going to drive every single cut line around Juma, just because we don't really want to go on the smaller roads with this amount of rain that just came out. I need those waterproof pants next time I come to Juma. I actually do have quite a nice set. Bright yellow. Bright yellow. The track I used to work with, Richard, he absolutely hated it when I wore my bright yellow suit. He just, he wouldn't walk with me at all. So anytime he saw tracks, he said, "You sit." And he wouldn't let me walk with him, which is actually quite hurtful. After rain like this, you can see absolutely everything. So the rain has stopped. So yeah, be out and about in heavy rain like we were experiencing, you probably won't see, because like everything is trying to find shelter. But of course, you can. We're gonna pop onto the dam wall, and then we'll stop on the dam. I can't imagine there'll be a lot of people out from camp now. I think majority of the game drives are probably headed back towards camp. So water is cold, and it's running down my right leg, right into my shoe. A little bit tough. So we are at the dam now, but we're going to send you over to Lauren, who's still on the other dam cam.
Oh, I don't know who linked to me, but I'm not up to very much. We did have a lovely woodland kingfisher that was just hiding out the rain, but sadly flew off. So we're just doing another scan. It's important to know if anyone's walking around. I am yet to find a leopard on a dam cam. It might happen one day. Rosemary, it is so green and gorgeous. It is so thick. And after last year, I kind of could predict that it would be another really thick, lush summer. It's very dense. It's really not easy to find animals in summer, but when you do find them, it's always worth it. Most of the animals that we do want to find are just so, they can just completely hide themselves in the vegetation, including elephants. Okay, not much is happening. We'll go back round to the dam. Wonder if my little woodland kingfisher is back. Lynn, I mean, not entirely sure what you mean by that, but I don't think so. I mean, I am from Scotland, where it's very, very green there too. It's very lush, and we get lots of rain, probably all 10 months of rain throughout the year, and therefore that sort of petrichor smell I'm really familiar with. So I'm not entirely sure I would say the smell of rain. I think the sounds of the bush are definite. Oh, how do I get you in focus? You've gone behind the branch, but it's you I'm after. Oh my goodness, nope. Nope. There we go, that's a little bit better, I think. But yes, I wouldn't say that the smell of the rain here makes it more significant to me. The sounds of summer do, once you start to hear this guy here, the woodland kingfisher, and all the other chirping and croaking and wonderful sounds. I do enjoy winter here. I enjoy winter in the bush a lot. It's hard. When I'm in summer, I want winter. When I'm in winter, I want summer. It's hard to actually choose a favourite season. There are pros and cons to both. Temperature being one of them. And this is what birds do in the rain. It is still raining. It's definitely not as heavy as before, but they just literally wait it out. But I've definitely got one soggy bird for today's drive. Let's see if Rowan can find any more.
I'm actually just trying to dry up a little bit. I'm shaking my shoe out while we've been sitting here, and that's about it. So it's interesting being back here because this is my third or fourth time I'm at this dam, and it's always, the pods of hippos here, it seems they don't really intermingle, they don't move towards each other. So you've always got one just on the northern side, then that's the one talking now, and then you've got one on the eastern side, and you've got one here on the western side, just underneath the fallen over tree, the one framed up now. Very interesting to see. But I guess, the size of the watering hole, it's quite an expanse, so the baby is yawning. So it is big enough to house all of them. So that's the one now on the northern side, that section of the pod. Saying that though, there should still only be one territorial male. Can't imagine a male, even with the size of this dam, is going to share the water with another male. We're always focused on the wrong side. So when we focus on the eastern pod, then the western pod starts playing around and yawning, and then we focus on the western pod, the northern part will start going. It's making OD work. Sorry, OD. You can see all the ripples in the water now. One just basically wailed. Quinn, I think the most amount... Okay, so we're talking about standing water. A dam, not a river system. So in one dam, I have seen 28 hippos. I think that's the largest pod of hippos I've seen in one dam. Quite a number. And wow, if one starts bellowing and all of them get involved in that, it's a very loud sound. I love the sound though. I don't trust hippos. I don't necessarily like hippos. They scare me when they are out of water. But I like the sound they make. I was once tracking a pride of lions early morning. I think here about 5:30, 6 o'clock we started tracking, and close to a watering hole, and you'll never see me walk at the edge. I just don't trust hippos at all. Anyway, so tracking, and found the lion, started walking back towards the vehicle, and walking actually past the dam, there was a hippo on my right, and I was between it and the water itself. So luckily it didn't see me, but wow, it gave me the fright of my life. And it was quite far off, probably about 40-50 meters. But it didn't notice me at all, making its way back towards the dam. But I remember I stopped there, checked which way it was going, walked the opposite direction, made sure I was far out of its way, then found an alternative route back to the vehicle. It's a strange thing. I'll happily track leopards, I'll happily track lions, but I don't want to see a hippo out of water. Should we go check the airstrip? Okay, I think we'll let the dam be and then move towards the airstrip, see what's going on there.
Beautiful sounds of nature. Let's just sit and enjoy this scene for a minute. I know there's some elephants around here somewhere, because there's a few game vehicles driving around the area. I suspect elephants might come to have a bit of a drink. Hopefully soon. Be an absolute winner. A few white-rumped swifts flying around.
I was just sitting now and Odie was taking off his poncho, and he was saying how once at Pindo, when he was there, he gave a lioness the fright of her life by when the poncho got caught in the wind actually, and of course making a funny noise that she's not used to. And I was just laughing because I've actually, we've driven around in rain before, and you gave your guests a poncho, and I've had guests do exactly the same thing. You sit next to a lion and they start taking off their poncho. Of course, it gets really, really hot because it's basically like you're in a tent. but then without really thinking about the situation, they'll lift up this poncho. Now, this already large vehicle becomes larger by lifting up these huge green poncho, and predators don't like that. Even elephants don't like that. Any animal, really. Okay, so we're going to leave the dam. Let's head towards the airship. Go check that area. We'll take 1 or 2 more roads in Chitwa and then head back towards Juma and go do the cut lines. I think it might be a little bit too wet for us to drive on the northern side through that drainage line. I can imagine with this amount of rain, it will be flowing quite. Sorry, birdies. Shame. So this is what I was talking about, all the chicks of these geese. They're still alive. This pair actually did rather well. Good mothering. 2, 3, 6 of them. I think the biggest clutch I've seen was probably about 10 tiny thingies following the mother around on the water. So they're quite interesting because the hatchlings will leave the nest within 6 hours and they'll just respond to the mom's call. So regardless if they are sorry, it's just the water coming down again. So regardless if they are quite high up a tree, if the mom calls 6 hours after hatching, the chick will just drop out and go towards the mom. Or rather funny. I've never seen it, I'd love to see it. As you can imagine, quite dangerous as well, because when they hatch, they're only about that size. Tiny little things, but very cute. I'm hoping, really hoping, fingers crossed, there'll be something along the airship for us. Not even seen an elephant. Woodpecker, I think I got your question. Did you ask if the Egyptian goose is really a duck? It's a goose, not a duck. Yeah, so Egyptian goose, as the name suggests, is a goose and not a duck. But you do find a few duck species around here. See the yellow-billed duck, knob-billed duck. Actually, a knob-billed duck is one of my favorites. The males have this enormous knob right on the bill. Quite easily distinguished in flight. And of course, a wide-faced whistling duck, which we've been trying to follow, flying over the water. Sorry, Rusty. Can't find it, grind it. Don't know what I heard in here. Didn't really quite sound like a bird. Might have been. It's often when you're driving, the engine is quite loud, so you'll just pick up like a different pitch of sound. Let me rather just stop and have a quick listen. Wouldn't hurt. Okay, so I can't hear anything. No, the birds seem quite relaxed as well. So while we head towards the airship, we're going to send you over to Mike, who's relocated to a watering hole.
Dragonfly. The dragonflies are very abundant. And this again is not a dragonfly exactly. It's called a groundling. So it's probably exactly the same one we filmed the other day. Loves sitting on these little exposed vegetations, catching insects that fly past. Oh, that looks like the same plant which had that weird, awful fat root things that I didn't like at all. Oh, they do all have them, so it is a normal thing. Just pulled up another one of those plants with those roots. Okay, the dragonfly has just flown off. It's landed on another little branch just to the left. Leon, that's a good question. I'm not sure whether you are referring to dragonfly eggs or to the goose eggs from the chicks that we were seeing earlier. Please, is there a way to clarify that, Leon? Are you... Because I don't know how long it takes dragonfly eggs to hatch, and I don't know how I'd find that information. Ooh, dragonfly. Okay, it is for the dragonfly. Oh, that would be guesswork. I don't think it takes particularly long. They're very small, and so it probably just takes a couple of days, maybe a week, for them to develop and then hatch. But they'll start off very tiny. Little nymphs that will get bigger. And you know how dragonflies are. They live under the water. Because dragonflies, the adults, are such voracious hunters. If their nymph also had to hunt above water, they would constantly be competing, and so they live under the water, and they're called, well, it's just called a dragonfly nymph. It's also a ferocious predator. It eats tadpoles and other small aquatic vertebrates. Oh, there's hyenas calling from the area of the den. I'm sure the den is getting active this afternoon now that the temperature is cooling off a little bit. Very active. It's not easy to hear because of the strong wind, but they are quite vocal. BK, I found a thing. I found a butterfly thing. How do dragonflies get their name? Well, that's actually interesting, and I don't know the exact answer. So it's over here. Yeah, I'm just chatting to. Sorry, BK, I have to make you carry your backpack as well. So dragonflies, I mean, they can fly backwards, forwards, up, down, left, right, upside down, all over the place. So probably it's this little orange thing there. Probably that's where the name dragon, and they hunt. You know, they catch things on the wing. Maybe that's where the name dragonfly came from. Maybe because of the long, slender body also. Look at this little thing. I don't know what it is. It looks a bit like a beetle moth, like a moth beetle thing. It looks like a moth hybrid beetle. Very interesting colors though. Bright orange and black. You know, I'm getting a weird feeling like that cheetah at Pinder. I'm really close to the water's edge. Is there something lurking underneath here waiting to catch me? The water is not that deep though. No, it's just finger deep over here. Very difficult for a crocodile to get very close. Lots of little creepy crawlies. I don't know what this creature is. I've never seen one before. Or at least I've never noticed it. But I just wanted to show you because it's cool. Lots of things in the undergrowth. All over the show. I'm going to send you over to Lauren, who's on the dam cam at the moment, and we might actually leave the dam now. It's very quiet here. Might actually take a little bit of a drive, but Lauren's on the dam cam. Let's see what she's got at her waterhole.
I have the chicks who have came out after the rain. I'm trying to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Am I right in saying 6? I think I saw 6. My picture's not very clear at my end. And now they're mobile and now I'm losing them, of course. newfound appreciation for the cameraman. But going back to dragonflies, how long the eggs take to hatch, it's normally around 1 or 2 weeks. That's how long they sort of develop in the egg stage. And naturally, the dragonflies have a completely different life cycle to the likes of butterflies. And the animal that hatches is actually called a nymph. Now, the nymph is going to shed its skin many, many times. It can be up to 17 times before it's actually ready to sort of be called an adult dragonfly. I think we were discussing this maybe this morning. And each time the nymph molts and gets rid of that exoskeleton, and it molts to get bigger and develop. Maybe there's a change, maybe there's a sort of development in the legs or the wing area. That's why it does molt. It's called an instar. So there really can, in dragonfly species, be up to 17 instars. But that depends on the species. And again, the time that it takes for dragonfly eggs to hatch is actually also very much species dependent. There are some species that take 5 weeks, but what you've got to think about is also very similar to the question I had about altricial versus precocial. Look at the animal. Look at the dragonfly. Their life cycles are short. They don't live long in the adult phase. And it's all about summer. So summer is all about reproducing, laying your eggs, and of course they only hatch with the rains of summer or maybe late spring. But if your eggs are going to take 3 months to hatch, that is, again, is not going to contribute to your reproductive success because it's far too time consuming. So just like altricial animals, the eggs hatch, they're not quite ready to be adults, they're in their juvenile phase, which is called a nymph phase, and then slowly but surely they molt and molt and molt to become adults. So on average it's around 1 to 2 weeks. But the nymphs, once they've hatched and they're alive, it takes them sometimes a long time to become adults, sometimes years, sometimes weeks. It's really species dependent. I'm sure there's one species that actually takes about 7 years, several instars before it's officially called an adult. Isn't that remarkable? Anyway, I have clearly lost my Egyptian geese, but I'm going to keep searching and see what else I can find.
Going to enjoy the beautiful scene here at Dover Dam one last time before we go.
Okay, so we are back on a bumble. Trying to find a road that no one has driven, but yeah, there are a number of vehicle tracks everywhere. So we're trying to stick to the larger roads instead of the small roads that might have been washed away, because I'm not really too sure. I remember at Ngala, if we had a lot of rain, we'd actually zone roads. We just called zone all the summer roads or the rain roads. So I'm not too sure what the policy here is, but I can imagine it's quite similar. So I'm just sticking to main roads or large roads, sandy roads really. Trying to not make too many ruts. And then yeah, I can imagine also no off-roading. So whatever we see better be on the road or close to the road. I can tell you now that it's clearing up. Quite a nice view just well left and behind us. So Odie will try to frame that up for you guys. It's just a little bit tough. Because of the roof we have poles everywhere. I'll show you the sunset again a little bit later. Sorry, little hoo-poo. Try to avoid these trees. One thing I'm really looking forward to is a hot shower tonight. But it's not cold, luckily. The rain was a little bit cold, but the temperature now is yet again perfect. Doesn't seem like too many vehicles have driven here today. A good spot. Vera, so that is, yeah, it's quite a different scenario. So they don't actually attract females. The females go into estrus, and the males can smell this. And what actually happens is the male forces the female into the water and mates with her. So it's not like a lovey-dovey sort of relationship. She's forced by the male to mate. But majority of animals, when I say smell, when they urinate and they go into estrus, they'll give off a certain scent, and so you often see males licking or smelling the urine, and then they'll hold their head up like this, pull back their lips, called a phlegm and grimace, and as they do this, it pushes the scent into an organ of Jacobson, which then puzzles it out for them and tells them whether the female is receptive or not, whether she's in estrus or not, ready to mate. So I'm pretty sure, Vera, if you follow some wildlife photographers on any social media account, you'd have seen photos of either leopards or lions with their lips pulled back, head up. So that's exactly what they're doing. They're not really snarling, but it looks quite mean. Sometimes it looks rather silly, I'll be honest. It's quite a nice road. Rather thick, but nice and windy. Already I'm just gonna, every single tree we go under, I'm just blasted with raindrops. Luckily my right side is still dry. Kat, it's actually rather quick. So the rain roof is, we park it off right next to the garage, and so Rusty's is on one side and then Wendy's is on the other side. So whoever is parked close to the rain roof first, it takes 4 of us to put it on, but about a minute. We just have to cable tie the roof into the car so it doesn't bounce up and down, because as you can imagine that could be rather dangerous, because the roof pole is right next to me here. So if it bounces up, it could bounce high onto my shoulder or onto my arm, and we don't want that to happen. I think there have been cases of it happening before and broken quite a few bones with people. That's why a lot of companies actually don't do rain roofs. And you can imagine going off-road with this thing would be rather tough. You need to pick a very good path if you want to follow any animal off-road. So sometimes they tear and the material would be rather expensive to fix. Which is why I have to put a bit of tape just above me, because there's a tiny hole. Odie was laughing while I was doing it because every time I put it up, just water would pour down this side onto my seat. And so of course when I sat down, now I've got a wet bum. All fun and games, part of the job. I have absolutely no idea where my ribs is. I would love to meet him, but it's just not happening. There's a fish eagle. I'll stop now and we'll zoom in on that.
We're just sitting admiring the tranquil scene at the dam. I'm going to let you all enjoy it, put my camera to the slowest pace and just scan around with you all. Watching everything come back to life after the rains. We still don't have a lot of light, but we can sit and appreciate the beauty and listen to the sounds. It's very calm and tranquil. You can see the birds have taken to the skies once again.
Okay, so yeah, there's the fish eagle. You can see the brilliant white breast of it. And then off to the right, there's a juvenile batelier. And they're not fighting with each other at all. Both of them actually just perch on the branch because I think they'll probably just dry themselves off. You can actually see the size difference between the two. The fish eagle is a slight bit heavier. So I think I was talking about big eagles in the area a little bit earlier, saying that a martial eagle can lift about 8 kilograms of prey, and I think a fish eagle goes to about 2 kilograms that they can lift, of course mostly preying on fish. So you do get rather large catfish in the dams around these areas, so they'll go for that. So there might actually just be a pan system down there. It does sound like there are frogs calling from that area. But I love how puffed up the little juvenile batelier looks. Imagine even for them it's a little bit of a struggle in the rain, especially if they want to try fly with wet feathers. So they'll find a dead tree like this and just perch and wait to heat up a little bit. The sun is coming out slowly, and I think once that hits, the humidity is going to be amazing. We'll just be baking. So fairly soon, probably time to take off the rain jacket. Glad I finally got to show a batelier on camera. Hey Lisa, it's amazing. It really pops out, especially against the background. So we often, now that you see the white breast like that, that is the one color that you'll see very, very, very easily in the bush. Not bright orange, not bright red. Even that you can conceal it, but white is just the easiest thing ever. I remember talking to the section ranger at Ngala, and he was saying, yeah, without a doubt, the thing that sticks out most is white. So of course for them, what they used to do is fly over in a plane, a little anti-poaching plane. And what was nice about that is when we couldn't find the Birmingham Pride, they would also always send us a message, Pride with white lines here. Give the coordinates, and yeah, just try our best to find it. Usually the coordinates were a little bit off. One time I typed it into Google Maps, and it took me to Turkey, which of course there's no white lines in Turkey. Well, no wild white lines in Turkey. But I was talking about lions. You can hear a lion calling behind us. Such a nice sound. Far, so not really in our traversing range. Actually, I might sit here for a while. You know, it'll probably take about 5 to 7, maybe 10 minutes for it to start calling again. Just want to hear if it's coming close or going further, and we know what to try tomorrow morning. While we wait, we're going to send you back across to Lauren on Dam Cam.
I have just taken a look at the thickney here. I believe it's nesting, the water thickneys. But you can't really see because of this big boulder here. It makes it a little bit tricky. But their nests are really, really simple. Not unlike lapwings, I guess. They are just sort of simple scrapes in the ground made by both the male and the female. And sometimes they're lined with vegetation, sometimes not. I guess it depends how detailed the parents are. And of course, it's very close to water. They are water birds at the end of the day. And naturally, we're looking at Gowrie Dam, so it's a perfect sort of spot to set up your nest. And I think this is the nest. I love thickneys. I've had some incredible sightings with them, protecting their young or protecting their nests against monitor lizards. They're very brave. Again, not unlike the blacksmith lapwings that really, really put themselves in the face of danger to protect their young or their offspring. It's actually quite remarkable. Parenthood in the animal kingdom. Mindy, oh my goodness. My goodness. I guess it would be marine biology related. That's probably what I know the most about. But I do enjoy talking about so many things. I'm probably the most qualified in marine biology, but a little bit out the box, I'd love to teach a class on phenomenology. The wonderful thing I've been diving deep into about an animal's phenomena. Every animal sees, or every organism, I think is a better word, perceives its environment in a different way. And one of the quotes that best describes that is, what shines forth for a butterfly may not shine forth for a dragonfly. And it's just a lovely little quote that reminds you that every organism is using different senses. Some live in a very chemical world, like your cats, very, very chemical. Some are living in a very visual world and see markings that the human eye can't see. Some are living in a very sort of feeling the vibrations of the earth. Some animals live underground, some animals take to the sky. So no two organism is really going to experience the world in the same way. And phenomenology is something I just recently came across, actually. One of the books called It's Not About the Bats by Adam Cruz is fantastic. Actually brought up this branch of philosophy to me. And I'm definitely not an expert in it or qualified in it, but I thoroughly enjoy it. And I would love to teach people more about that. If you think, even as yourself as an individual human being, and maybe you're sitting next to your family member or your husband or your children or your parents, just think, even although you're both sitting in the room watching TV, you're all having a different experience at the end of the day, although you're both doing the exact same thing in the exact same location. Probably going to be using different senses or feeling differently about what you're doing. I mean, at the end of the day, each individual has a sort of deeply interactive experience with their environment at any given time. And I love applying that to the animal kingdom. I mean, if you think some animals have eyes, some don't. We spoke about that earlier. Some are blind. Ears, paws. Bats have radar senses. Sharks have electroreception. Lots of animals have different sort of muscles. Think of an elephant's trunk. So there's no way that they can experience the world in the exact same way, from tick to tiger. And I think it's Jakob von Uexkol. I could be wrong in that pronunciation, but he's the scientist behind it. And he describes each environment as a kaleidoscope of fluctuating changes. So you've got to tune into that organism to see how it's surviving and thriving. But that is a really interesting question. I hope my answer was good enough for you. But as I sit and watch our thickney, we're going to send you over to Rowan.
So we just heard that male calling again, and it doesn't seem that far, but it's definitely not in an area where we can go. But what we'll actually do is, because we know he's calling, it means other lions will start calling as well. So what I think is, let's head to the Buffelshoek cut line, because the S8 male has been around there for quite some time. So if we move into that area, we can know exactly where he is, and we could maybe possibly be lucky tomorrow with that male moving into Chitwa. I like it when you start developing a plan to have something to do. Also, I must say I quite enjoy driving the cut lines. So we might lose a slight bit now with signal. Just bits. And we are out of the dip. I must say, Rusty is a powerhouse. There's just absolutely nothing that this little cock. Very pretty cool grey hornbill. And a high-pitched whistle. Okay. I think what we might actually do is just stop here on the hill. It should be a very nice view of, well, the start of a sunset. Go a slight bit forward. So I think, yeah, we'll make our way to Buffelshoek Cutline and actually just pause there for a little while and see if we can hear anything calling from that side.
We haven't gone anywhere, I'm afraid. We're still at the dam. But we are just sitting waiting to see if anything comes by. Nothing's come by yet. But we will just give you a slow view of the dam as we look and listen to everything around. look, just at the last minute there, we've managed to find some life, an Egyptian goose.
Okay, so we're on Cheetah Cut Line now, and then the next cut line to our left would be Buffels Hook, where we'll actually stop. It's interesting, this is actually the cut line that does not look like a cut line. It really just looks like a road, just because the rest are really all clean and wider. But I don't think a lot of people drive this road in regular cars, rather just game drive vehicles. So it's just a boundary between properties rather than a main road that takes you from a gate to a lodge. Also, there should be a fire break somewhere to our left, or maybe even one to our right. Okay, so there's fire breaks on our right. Actually very important, because if you have a running away bushfire here, they are so hard to stop. We had one on Ngala not too long ago, and I'll tell you what, it was terrifying. So what they actually did was they started burning from the road and burning back towards the fire, so you could actually get rid of the fuel on this side, because even in a little bit of wind, if a spark flies over, it just catches like that. I think the largest, I almost want to say at one spot the fire jumped 800 meters. From what I can remember. So anyone living in the US, I mean, you know how crazy those fires are in California. You know exactly how bad it goes. So that's why it's important to have a fire break. And cut lines, of course. And a good firefighting team. I'd love to know how much rain we got. Actually, probably the first thing I'm going to check when we get back to the lodge, because just by looking at the condition of the road, you can see it almost formed rivers. It looks very cool. I mean, just the pattern that the water forms in the sand is so pretty. While we're heading towards Buffels Hook cut line, actually just keep an eye out for Tlalamba as well, because she's been spending quite a bit of time here with the two cubs. Well, we think last time Lauren saw her was really in this sort of area with her two youngsters, but the youngsters are old enough now to be quite mobile, and often she will still, of course, leave them in a spot when she goes hunting. But then she'll come fetch them to go get some food. So she was also seen in Buffels Hook, I think 2 or 3 days ago. And then we haven't really had any tracks coming back, but then again we've had quite a bit of rain, so it could have just washed everything away. Mikey is going to show off a little sunset for you guys, so we're going to send you to Pridelands.
Drakensberg escarpment has got a silver lining. The sun will eventually peek out from underneath that cloud. It's going to be a gorgeous gorgeous orange globe, I believe. Moving over towards the mountain, or across the mountain rather. Bringing with it hopefully a little bit of cold, damp air that will drizzle on us in the morning and in the night. This is one of the highest points on Pride Lands. We're up at Leopard Copy. It's in fact the first place that the Pixie Pan female was ever spotted. The first place that the Pixie Pan female was ever found with her two youngsters. In fact, they were born somewhere on this rocky outcrop where I'm sitting right now. And I just wondered to myself, is it possible? Could it be that amongst these rocks, somewhere along this ridge, there is another leopard? Or maybe even Pixie Pan herself with a new set of youngsters. The youngsters were seen recently, not long ago, by Morris, our tracking partner. At least one of them. And yeah, it seems like they are becoming more or less independent from the mother now. And so she can probably start looking for mating opportunities and have another litter soon. It was a starling that's just landed on a high branch above BK's head, but you won't be able to see it from where he is, unfortunately. It's also just getting a nice bird's eye view of the whole of Pride Lands that we can see from here. It's actually spectacular. You can see all the way to Impala Plains, all the way to our northern boundary. We've got Leopard Dam in the distance. We're going to stick around here for a little bit longer, see what the sunset does, but in the meantime, Rowan's found himself a spotted hyena.
Yeah, Mike, you have to appreciate the sunset every now and then, actually every day. So we were going north, and then this hyena just popped out of Juma, and he's now going back south in the direction which we came from. No idea which hyena it is, but it would be one of the Juma clan. Actually came straight out of the area where you would go in if you wanted to go look for Tlalamba and the youngsters, well, the last area they were seen in. But interestingly enough, he was doing this earlier, so trotting away, and then just stopped right in his tracks, turned around, smelt an area, smelt a bit of grass, and then just carried on going. I think mostly now it's trotting because we're driving behind it, so let me see if I stop the car. No, that's not walking. So you can imagine that's a very, very, very energy efficient gait that they adopt when they run like that, especially having very large forequarters, smaller hindquarters. Just works for them. I need to catch up again. Lots of stamina hyenas. I know in South Africa they are often just shunned as scavengers, but yeah, don't underestimate them. Phenomenal hunters. I think there has been a case of hyenas tracking and following prey for up to 30 kilometers before actually killing their prey. So hyenas live in clans. They are known to live in clans, but they often travel alone. You know, this is such a clever animal. That's interesting. Now that we stopped, he stopped. Such a clever animal. They actually did an IQ test where they did a study on lions and hyenas. And so what they did is they put food into a box, a piece of meat, and they let a lioness in and showed the lioness basically how to open the box and get the meat. And the next moment what they did was they put the meat, or some more meat in the box, let the lioness in, but at the same time let a male lion in. And the lioness, what she did was she ran straight to the box, tried to steal it away. The male, being bigger and stronger, stole the meat from the lioness, and she lost the meat. Then they did the exact same thing with hyenas. So they showed a male hyena, which is lower ranked and smaller than a female, where the meat is, how to open the box, and he got it, and then did it again, but this time with a male and a female. And they both found the meat because they have such an incredible sense of smell, but the female didn't know how to open the box. So the male would not go near the box because the female was there, and he just let her try and try and try and try. Eventually she gave up and she left. Then the male went to the box, opened the box, and got the meat. So they actually have the ability to deceive. So where I'm getting at is that this hyena traveling on its own, if it comes across a leopard with an impala carcass or a duiker carcass or something small, it doesn't want to share with 20 other hyenas because there's just not going to be enough food. So rather travel by yourself, keep the food to yourself. However, if this hyena comes across maybe 2 male lions or some lionesses on a buffalo carcass or a wildebeest carcass, then it's going to start whooping and contact calling, asking for the help of its own clan, which will then respond and come to it, and they'll collectively try and chase the lions off the carcass. Okay, so the hyena has decided to take a road that is not our property either. You can actually see both ears facing backwards, and it's every time I started driving that the hyena started trotting. So I'm actually rather glad. We'll just leave him here and carry on. We'll actually have to turn around and go the other way again. I love the way they walk. Really, really, really just, it's almost like a sulky kind of walk because their shoulders are so big. They usually hold their head quite low down, nearly looking a little bit depressed or skulky. Now he's going back towards our road. Okay. Go a little bit forward. If he starts trotting again, I'm rather just gonna, let him be. Because it almost feels like I'm chasing him. So if you guys don't mind, I'll actually turn around here, let the hyena do its thing, and then we go do our other thing, which is try listen for lions on the other cut line. Because to catch up to him, I'll have to rev Rusty in second gear, and then the hyena's just gonna run off quicker. So I'll just find a spot to turn around, go the other direction. So yeah, that's one of the things, especially on a wet day. Every single road, saw a lot of water on the roof. Every single road you go past, rather go slowly and just check down the roads to make sure nothing's walking up it, because that's exactly how we found this guy. So while we turn around and go back towards the cut line, or our initial plan, we'll send you back to Mike, who's still admiring the sunset.
Absolutely beautiful sunset. It's just getting better, as I told you it would. It is absolutely bronze in color. What should I say? Copper. Yeah, it's more like copper. Copper gold. It's everything you'd ever want from a sunset. Mountains, sun, clouds. It was actually disappearing behind the mountains, so I'm just going to actually enjoy the sounds for a moment. gets less windy during the night. In the canvas tents it gets a bit loud if the wind is too much. Oh, look at the sun. It starts to shine on the bottoms of those clouds. Just disappearing behind the Drakensberg escarpment. Sydney, I'm glad you're enjoying it. I think there's not a sunset that I've watched in Africa that I haven't just thought, wow, that was the best sunset. The end of a wonderful day. I got about 10 new birds for my list, which is great. It took me over 100. Today was my 100, which was a good thing. We had an elephant encounter on foot, BK and I, which was great. Ate amazing food, had amazing sightings of flowers and insects. The birds were off the charts, saw a dwarf bittern, which is great. As that sun dips behind the horizon, as always, from us at Pridelands, we say good evening. Goodbye, sun. See you tomorrow. We will be leaving, however, Rowan and Lauren are sticking around a little bit longer to see what else starts to come out as the sun has set. All the nocturnal animals start to come out. Let's see what Rowan can find. We'll send you over to him.
We're nearly at Biffle's Hook cut line, hoping for our line to roar so we can judge the distance and direction he might be moving in. Quickly have a look at the tracks here. So yeah, this would be the S8 male who's been hanging around with 2 lionesses. Seems like the Talamati Pride is in Pungwe, Darkmane also in Pungwe. There's some other hyena tracks, yep. Very clear claw marks going in this direction. So those 2 hyenas have split up. One went right, one went left. Actually, one went north and one went south. We are currently driving north. So the sunset that Michael is looking at is on this side. So nothing interesting walking on the roads here. Shame, I was just thinking about the hyena having to walk or run through the long grass now, how wet it would become. Not that hyenas really mind. I can imagine being wrapped in fur for your entire life. They don't really get too warm or too cold. I can imagine they get very warm, but now it's going to be wet fur. But not the cleanest animal out here. They are quite stinky. Just don't tell Lauren I said that. She knows. Such a brilliant temperature at this stage. Odie's put on his jacket now. I'm still wearing mine. I wanted to take it off earlier, but then the sun disappeared. There's no like sticky humidity. It's actually just wonderful. We're actually discussing it. It's the last hour. Well, actually the last hour and a half of afternoon game drive and the first hour of morning game drive are best ones. Some zebra that we're walking here, going in the opposite direction. Trying to miss the corrugation, otherwise my voice will shake. When I get back, I'm actually going to watch Mike's sunset just to see how different it was to ours, because we have such an enormous cloud bank in front of us that the sunset isn't really as amazing as it was yesterday or the day before. Even though we are high up, usually from here it's a beautiful view down with the Drakensberg Mountains in the distance, and yeah. There's a fire break. So here's the boundary. We'll turn left here and just switch off for a little while. So we can listen for any nocturnal animals.
The impala have come back, or at least one has, a young boy here. Came out of his hidey spot. It's now not raining. I think we are in store for some more, but it's obviously dry right now, and it's time to get moving again. The rains will benefit the animals in so many ways. It cleans them, it's good for their skin. Woo! My goodness. And it does flush away mange. Oh my goodness. And off he goes. I can't even see him. So the rains are good on so many levels. Although they may be cold and not entirely enjoyable as it's raining. There's lots of benefits. Ruby, we don't get sable here anymore. We used to have sable, but sadly not anymore in this area. There are surrounding areas where you do find them, but sadly not in the Sabi Sands. It's been a long time since we've had a sable around here, which is really rather unfortunate. They are quite beautiful animals, or beautiful antelopes, but sadly not anymore. We only get in this area, this specific area, the kudu, Inyala, impala, duiker and steenbok, and wildebeest in this area. Where's the rest of your hair, young boy? I'm very much hoping that tomorrow Wendy will be up and running and we can be out and about. I'm desperate to check that hyena den and catch it active. And off he goes. I wonder if the others are also coming out now. Bass. You're asking about camouflage birds. Oh, look at that skyline. Oh my goodness. We had this last night also. To be honest, a lot of the birds that you see, especially in summer, are here to be loud, to be visible, to be noisy, because what they're trying to do is attract a mate. If you think of the woodland kingfisher, for example, it's very bright, it's very loud in color and vocalizations because it's trying to be heard, it's trying to compete. So when it comes to camouflage birds, I mean, I think one of the best that we would have, the best example in this area is the spotted eagle owl. For example, they're residents, they're also monogamous, they're not trying to advertise to anyone, they've got their partner. And I think a lot of owls are like that, even the Scops owl, they really blend into the background. Most of the migrants will come here very, very loud, very obvious, and most of the residents don't have to be that loud. I think owls are your best sort of group or family of birds that really do blend into the background. Your thickneys are remarkably camouflage, actually. They really do blend into the water's edge. They're quite easy to miss. And nightjars during the day, because they are a nocturnal bird, they also really blend into the background during the day because they are just resting. So we do have some birds, but I would say the family of owls are definitely the best. Ah, look at those pastel pinks and purples. I think we should just take a moment to appreciate this skyline. Isn't it so beautiful? I'm going to continue to admire the skyline from indoors. We're just sitting appreciating the color palette of the skyline in front of us. I'm obviously indoors looking from a dam cam, but it really is stunning. That's the sun going down. Another day done, getting ready for tomorrow. We're just going to sit and appreciate this for a moment or two. Isn't it stunning? All we need is a leopard to appear and it would be picture perfect.
Okay, so we're sitting at a crossroad of two of our boundaries. I am facing down Buffelshoek and you guys are checking cheetah cutline. So I've got my binoculars up, just seeing if anything walks across the road. And the reason we're sitting here is we heard a lion roaring, kind of where you guys are facing, but on the other side, so not on the Juma side. I'm actually just listening to see if we can hear it again, because it sounded a lot closer, which would be awesome. I would love if they come onto Juma during the night, and we can try to track them down in the morning. That would just be amazing. Might just be the Torchwood Pride, since they are on Torchwood. Further southwest of us there is an enormous storm. You can actually see the rain thundering down. Of course the pole's in the way. But yeah, it looks very, very misty. Luckily I think it should, if it does come this way, we should be okay. I think we'd be back in camp by that stage. Though I must say that last bit of rain caught us by surprise, without a doubt. Here we go. Listen. It's funny, only 3 roars. Although it might also be that the wind direction changed. It almost muffled the last little bit. So still roaring behind us and to our left, but definitely closer than it was earlier. I think that's it. So let's continue down the cut line, which we are facing, this one. And then from there we'll take Vuyatela access back to quarantine and back to camp. So Sam, thanks for asking that question. Lions roar sometimes to find each other, to locate each other. But this lion, I can tell you, is most likely roaring to tell other lions that this is his territory. So it's a more scary roar, if you know what I mean, Sam. More to say, don't mess with me, I'm the big boss here, ward off any other lions. We've had that before. Back about 8 years ago, they were known as the Pal1 males or the Matimba males, and they were on one side of a property and there was another male roaring and scent marking nearly on the other side of a property, and this is a big property, it's 14,700 hectares. And they heard this, and I remember following them, and they were jogging in the direction of the other lion roaring, also roaring. And when they got to the area, they would sniff around, and everywhere where this male scent marked, they actually bit into the pieces of guari or whichever bush he urinated on, and they would bite it off. So very, 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 very aggressive temperament. So one thing, lions just, they're not scared of anything, and such resilient animals. I mean, I've seen it time and time again. Even with Darkmane, you know, he's had a limp for how long? And you'd still see him trying to take down, what was it, a young elephant at one stage. It's just nothing holds them back. So he wasn't successful, by the way, the young elephant survived. But I mean, just, you know, to have the guts to try and take that down. What incredible animals. Never, when I just started, I'll be honest, I didn't really, I wouldn't say I didn't enjoy lions, but I found them rather boring. because every single time we came across a pride, you know, they would just sleep for the 3 hours or the 2 hours or maybe even the 1 hour you would spend with them. But then years and years and years of spending time with lions and watching the lion dynamics within a pride, and actually, so I was lucky enough to work on one property for 8 years, and I watched cubs grow into adults, leave the property, become dominant males, see all the struggles of, see cubs die or make it to adulthood, and that just forms such a love in it. It is absolutely wonderful. So really it created, especially the Birmingham Pride, created a lot of love for lions in me. That's why I am rather excited, or I'm hoping that this pride makes its way across to Djuma and then comes, let me see them. I've seen 3 leopards. Now I want more cats. Might have a slight signal dip here as we go through the dip once again. But Rusty is in 3rd gear, so we'll try to do it as quickly as possible. The sad thing is, while we're on the topic of lions, that, and I will use the Birmingham Pride as an example again, when they had cubs at one stage, they had 7 cubs, and 3 of them were actually white, with, I think they were known as the giraffe males. We just used to call them western males. And yeah, the 2 Ross males came in, and they either killed or chased out the western males. By doing so, they came across the lionesses that belonged to the Birmingham Pride, and they killed all 7 cubs. So initially when they just arrived, we had absolutely no love for the Ross males. But then it's always a thing that you anthropomorphize things, you know, we attach human emotions to everything we see. So for them, it's a natural cycle. Of course, they want to have their genes go further. So for that to happen, they can't wait 3 to 3.5 years for the females to go back into estrus. So by killing the cubs, it takes just a few months. The females are back in estrus, and then they can have their own cubs. See, lions don't really like to play a stepfatherly role in different cubs' lives. So yeah, and it's phenomenal how the Ross males, only 2 of them, not even massive male lions, but they seem to have held on to that territory for nearly 4 years. It would be 4 years in April, and only the 2 of them. But I think rather soon they'll probably have a bit of an issue, either with the Birmingham young male and the Torchwood male, or the Berry boys. So yeah, I'll have to slow down a little bit. So it's actually flowing after that bit of rain. I think there's an owl in the tree over there. I can just see the silhouette. Let's just quickly check what owl this is. Sorry, Odie, not the dead tree right in front of us. See the next one behind it? Okay, go a little bit right. Yeah, there we go. Also wet and soggy. Love owls. Absolutely love owls. Burroughs eagle owl. So these are the ones with the pink eyelids. So probably the large. No, there we go. I can tell you now when it took off. Not a single sound. Okay, so while we continue down the cut line, we're going to send you back over to Lauren. Sorry about that, everyone. We seem to have gone into a little tech loop there. Lost signal on Juma, but we're back. You didn't miss too much. We haven't found anything yet. We are nearly at Vuyatela access. Still having a good look around. So this time of day, you don't need a spotlight just yet, but it is getting a little bit dark to see. So maybe time to put out Rusty's lights on. And then I think as we get onto Vuyatela, we'll get the little spotlight out. The trusty little spotlight. It's actually a very cute thing. Quite easy to handle and maneuver as well. Not bulky at all, not too heavy. I remember there was a stage at Ngala where we weren't actually driving with trackers, and then you had to drive, explain, talk, handle the radio, and yes, your right shoulder just got too sore because you have to hold it up like this. Yeah. Back in the old days. Odie wants us to go left here. Why? Okay, we don't want to lose signal, so we'll go left here. So we're on a road called Aubrey's, and Aubrey links us straight back to Vuyatela access, and then Vuyatela takes us to Quarantine, and Quarantine is right outside of camp. That little loop and a clearing, so you can actually see Quarantine from Dam Camp. That's where we were pointing out Impala this morning, which Lauren also then stumbled upon. A little bit of a later stage. I should just stop here, have a quick look around. Maybe we can find a chameleon, or these apple leaves or combreatums. No. See, so even on the combreatum here, when you light on it, the four-winged samaras, the fruit, shines a little bit brighter. So that's kind of what we're looking for now when we start looking for chameleons. Just a brighter light in the bush, or in a tree really. They shine nearly white. Other than that, it's very quiet around us. It's a little bat that just flew over us. Looked like one of the smaller carnivorous bats. But yeah, no luck with a chameleon in this area.
My first mammalian predator on the dam cam, 2 hyenas. I can't go to them, so they came to me. And very unfortunate that the Juma feeds went down. We had June. June was leading another hyena that I think could have been Comet, but I didn't unfortunately get a clear enough ID. But it was definitely June. And they walked right past the dam cam. They're probably in our camp right now, to be honest. That was really unfortunate. I've never had a hyena on all my dam cam duties, I must say. I'm probably gonna have to go into infrared very soon. I can't remember how to do that. I've got a little bit of light, but not much. Marcel, can you remind me how to go into IR? Luckily, Tech is sitting right next to you. I mean, Marcel did fix the car today.
Sorta.
No, you did. You did a fantastic job. Oh yes, now I remember. There we go, now I remember. Thank you very much, Marcel. Can I give you all my other problems to fix? There we are. I mean, I have absolutely nothing, to be honest, on the damn cam, so I'm welcoming all questions, discussions, anything you want to know, any questions you have about the Juma clan, leopards, movement, insects, because really, this is tough sitting here, and there's not much going on when it's in infrared, but you can see the glow of the dam, and you can see the insects buzzing by. Bread, yes, we do get giant kingfishers. Absolutely. I had one with Dobby not so long ago. I think it was during my last stint on the fallen over knobthorn at the dam camp, which is it's quite an iconic tree in a way because it's right at that dam wall. That's where the monitor lizards live. That's where nests are built. And I use it to sort of monitor water levels. Not exactly, but you can see using that tree how full the dam is. It's a fantastic tree to have right there, to be honest. And a giant kingfisher often sits there. And from a mile away, you can immediately see it's a giant. Even if you can't see the coloration, you know immediately it's really large, especially compared to the woodland or even the brown hooded. They're very small kingfishers. But you only really see, I mean, you do get the malachite in this area. I've actually never seen it. You get the malachite, you get the pygmy, you get the woodland naturally during summer. You get the brown hooded, the giant, the pied. And James Hendry once told me he saw striped here. But I have personally never seen a stripe. So you get quite a good selection of kingfishers here. But yes, you do get the giant. I love kingfishers. Okay, I'm just going to sit, relax, enjoy the sounds of the night, and we're going to send you guys over to Rowan.
I'm enjoying the view of the night and the spotlight. Quite cool that two hyenas pitched up on the dam cam. So we had our full of hyenas for this afternoon, even though we didn't go past the den. I'm fairly certain Lauren will go past the den tomorrow morning. All the mushrooms are starting to grow out of the elephant dung now. All you need is a little bit of rain. The bush just thrives. Deb is asking, what do I do between sunrise and sunset safari drive? So Deb, if you remember Eric Exelby, he used to do WildEarth as well. So Eric is now engaged to Amy McMillan. They've been dating for quite some time already, but they got engaged now. And so Amy had this idea that we should do a run, and a rather large run. So I remember when I met them, we were always going to run together. So Amy entered into a 50-miler. So to put that into perspective, that's about 80 kilometers run in Magobas Kloof. So this is happening on the 10th of April. So then she convinced me that I should also enter, and silly enough, I entered the race with her. So now we are on a 16-week program to get ready for this run, which means today I had to do 20 kilometers of running between Sunrise Drive and Sunset Drive, and I did that around quarantine. So I get about a 2.4 kilometer loop out of quarantine, and yeah, did it 9 times. So there you go, Deb. That's basically what I do in between drives at this stage.
Back on wheels and axes.
Finally. So we are still just looking for any nocturnal critters, whether it be in the form of a genet, a civet, a bush baby, a chameleon, a honey badger, a leopard, a lion, hyena, anything that wants to come out now. Be my guest. Can't see any trucks on the road either. So we'll just have to bump into something. I had guests once, and I mentioned to them, yeah, we're actually hoping to bump things at night. And they kept quiet. And the one lady frowned at me and she said, Ryan, you actually bump into animals. So I think she probably thought I meant we were going to crash into things because we're not going to see them. But there's a hyena. He's going to go join the hyenas, or she will go join the hyenas at the dam. No, never mind. Took a right. Oh, it's coming back. There we go. Hi. What are you up to? There's also an elephant on the road. That is why the hyena had to leave the road. Makes sense. I actually switch my headlights off. It looks like a breeding herd of elephants. I can now see a second and a third one. And there. So I've just switched off my lights because we are actually going past and through a breeding herd of elephants. Of course, I don't really want to upset them. This is my roadblock for the night. Sounds like a rather large herd. You can hear one right behind us. This one's coming to investigate. And then further off to our left, probably about 50 meters in, you can also hear some trees being cracked. So of course elephants, just like humans, don't really like the spotlight in their eyes. So if I had to switch on the spotlight or even the headlights with the brights on, they would get upset, which is why we decided to rather park a little way away from them. Oh, without a doubt, the best type of roadblock. No one's going to give me a fine here, no one's going to ask me for my license. But yeah, we'll just have to be patient with it. The one to the right of us just farted. Quite a bubbly sound. Luckily it doesn't smell too bad. Cute little babies. Jay, Dale, yeah, so that's the thing, I've never run with music, as weird as that sounds, but never in my life have I ever run with music in my ears, and that comes because when I started running, I've just always run in the bush, and so of course you can't have your ears closed and music blaring because you'll miss so much. So while you run, always look around, always look up, and you just listen to anything. Every now and then you look down, you see where tracks are. But the nice thing is also, everywhere where I've run, I've worked. So usually, we kind of know where the animals are, especially prize lions or leopards with carcasses, things like that. But saying that, I have run into lions, I have run into leopard, I've run into cheetah, rhino, wild dogs, buffalo, nearly everything. And just take it as it comes. See the tiny baby to the left there. So I would hate to run into this. The thing is, luckily elephants, when they feed, they make quite a lot of noise. So you just listen and you'll hear the cracking branches. But on foot, this would be a little bit of a hazard when you're running, just because they'd probably perceive you as a threat to their youngsters, and you never want to be perceived as a threat to a baby elephant. Actually very peaceful sitting here, just listening to them feeding. They're feeding all the way around us. Obviously not bothered by our presence at all. Haven't seen one of them come up to us. Those two are having a bit of a tussle now. It's almost like they're sharing food. That baby's on its knees. Nina, the matriarch of an elephant herd, is usually the oldest, wisest female. The reason for this is because she chooses where to go drink, when to eat, where to eat, because she knows the area the best. So the oldest, wisest female would be the matriarch. I don't think it's something that is passed on from one matriarch to her daughter. It might be the matriarch when she dies that the auntie then becomes matriarch because she's the oldest, because she's been around for the longest. What a cool sound. Now they're sniffing towards us. A little trunk in the air, trying to determine what we are. Are we a threat? What we're doing here? Just smelling rusty. Of course that trunk gets a little bit heavy, so easier to just rest it on your head. Oh, that's cute. It's almost like it's hugging the other one's head. Thanks, Linda. Yeah, that was a bit of a surprise for me too. Just stumbled upon them. Actually, weirdly enough, we found a hyena that was trotting on the road in this direction, and of course the hyena turned off to make way for the elephants. But there's a lot of them. Now we're at a bit of a standoff. I'll most likely have to reroute and find a different way to get home. instead of just a quick 5-minute drive. We're now going to have a nice 15-minute stroll back home. It's also nice of all of them to come into the road and say goodnight to all of you. Hey, what a beautiful sight. It's almost like they came to greet. So see you tomorrow. There's really a lot of them. Notice how the older ones on the outskirts and the younger ones on the inside. But guys, that's a wrap for us. Thanks for joining us again this afternoon, and we'll see you bright and early tomorrow. Night, night.